football player. All he does is make tackles. Wilson Guest alongside Callens and Burton the ends. Monte Jones, the most active of the linebackers, more in the middle. Allen on the other side. A veteran secondary. Donna Joseph, he will play in the NFL. And a penalty. Offside against Oklahoma. 5 yards. They move it up to the 35-yard line. 1st and 5 now for Colorado. Barnes once again on the right side and pushes forward, gets to about the 37. Brandon Moore, the first man to hit it. This is an aggressive and attacking Oklahoma defense team.
Well, it is. Rex Ryan is in his first year as a responded. In fact, his Sooners have held opponents to 0 or fewer yards on 80 of 165 snaps. That's 48%. But this time, when you start 1st and 5, it's a sure ways to go for a first down.
And on the other hand, Colorado last in the Big 12 in rushing, 113.5 yards per game on a 2nd down and 3. Machete. Straight drop going to the far side to Shiverini, who hauls it in. Beautiful catch up at the 46-yard line. Corey Ivy over there on the coverage. Good throw and even a better catch.
Corey Ivy locked in here with Shiverini. Shiverini is the favorite target of Mike Machete. Machete finds his man. Good route. Look at the hands on Shiverini. Terrific receiver.
1st and 10, 46-yard line, just underway, Norman, Oklahoma. Blitzing from the outside, the handoff goes right up the middle. And not much working there for Spivey. What about Dean Colorado today?
Well, Colorado, like most teams, is looking to do really what they haven't done well. They look to establish the run early. And I think for the game, they have to run for 130 yards today offensively to really open things up. And defensively, they're going to limit Devon Parker by trying to stop him before he reaches that 2nd level or 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. And we'll get onto more of that when Oklahoma has the football.
Colorado averaging just 2.9 yards per carry so far this year on a 2nd and 7 from the 49-yard line. 3 wide receivers and to Shiverini. And he'll be close to the first down. They'll spot it at the 43-yard line. That should be enough. Donna Joseph over there on the coverage of Darren Shiverini, the senior.
Well, we can see all the players in the field from the top. Oklahoma comes with a blitz. Colorado does a great job of blitz pickup. Shiverini underneath, wide open. Easy pickings. And they are moving the ball.
Darren Shiverini, and a twin brother, Ryan, who also plays in this Colorado football team. On 1st and 10, 43-yard line. Barnes gets the pitch. There's a hole. Barnes just tripped up. He had a lot of room in front of him as he gets down to the 35-yard line. Marcus Spivey threw the block that released him to pick up that gain.
Monte Jones, weak side linebacker, number 11 for Oklahoma, undersized, but he has played very well. We'll watch him come in. He's trying to get deep, forced to play inside. Nice job of blocking. And Monte Jones is not an issue. As Spivey, yeah, great job. And that one almost busted up a crease for a touchdown.
On 2nd and 2 from the 35-yard line. Little play action by Machete coming to the near side. Wide open and drops the football. Goodness sakes, Javon Green was wide open, and Dean, it was one of those deals. He was thinking end zone before he got the ball.
Well, he was absolutely wide open as Oklahoma in zone coverage. Mike Woods was way off of him, and Green has been a guy who's very talented, but he's a young receiver, good speed. They need him to play better. He started well against Colorado State, Roger, in the game that I had. I was really impressed with him, but the last couple of games, he's not done well.
3rd down and 2. Colorado at 43% on the season in 3rd down situations. Barnes, that's going to be very close as he's down to the 33-yard line. Brandon Moore, the middle linebacker out of Freeport, New York, was there to make the stop. This Oklahoma defense, 2nd in the nation in total defense, averaging their opponents just over 207 yards a game. And of course, you mentioned Rex Ryan, the son of Buddy Ryan, who is the defensive coordinator here in his first year.
Rob Ryan, his twin brother, the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma State, as it's 1st and 10 for Colorado. You know, you have to be realistic, though, in Oklahoma, with their opposition being North Texas, TCU, and California. That's not the greatest assembly of offensive juggernauts, but still, they are much improved, much more aggressive. The 46 defense, which they run a good deal of the time, allows them to bring a lot of pressure. And we showed you Ante Jones from the weak side. He will be a busy man this afternoon.
There's some people in the Big 12 that would tell you that's a formidable non-conference schedule compared to others, Dean.
The state north of us,
I think so. 1st and 10, 33-yard line. Both receivers split to the top of your screen as Machete goes near side, trying to get to his tight end, Tom Ashworth. And Ghana Joseph, number 29. And I'll tell you what, we were looking at some tape yesterday, and there were some pro scouts in town. They just rave about him.
Yeah, Ghana Joseph has all the package. He's a guy who's 6'1", 215. He can run. He's tough. He can cover. Coverage is probably not his strength, but he has all the other tools, and he's a good enough cover guy to make it in the NFL most likely, and he was all over the tight end there.
And Oklahoma 3rd in the nation in pass efficiency defense. They've only allowed 1 touchdown pass in their first 3 games. They had the off week last week. 2nd down and 10. And Machete calls a timeout. Machete calls a timeout. 11:53 left to go in the first quarter from Norman, Oklahoma. No score. Colorado and Oklahoma. Head coach at Oklahoma, played for Barry Switzer, was an assistant coach here, went on to be an assistant coach with Barry at the Dallas Cowboys. 2nd down and 10, 33-yard line of Oklahoma after the timeout by Colorado. Play action by Machete comes near side, and that's going to be incomplete, out of bounds. The intended receiver over there, Cedric Cormier. Mike Woods on the coverage, and we talked about this Oklahoma defense, and Dean, they just get better as the game goes on.
Well, they pride themselves in being in great condition, and I think that the kids really enjoy the new system. It's one thing to be in a sound system, which I believe they're in this year, but it's another to have the success that you see there with those numbers and to really enjoy what you're doing.
And the key, look at that, only 2 touchdowns allowed, both of those in the first quarter of their 3 previous games. 3rd down and 10. Shiverini's a favorite target of Machete on 3rd down. Machete, the blitz, dumped at the 38-yard line. Kelly Gregg, one of the players in there, Terry White, and also Brandon Moore.
Well, what this is the perfect example of Machete not picking up the exact blitz. Oklahoma doesn't come with the blitz until the last minute. 13, Terry White comes up the gut. He gets in untouched, and that stops the drive. But a great job by the Sooners through Rex Ryan in not showing that blitz prematurely, because I always would call him Shiverini, but Machete does a nice job of catching those most of the time.
Now back to punt on a 4th and 15, Nick Beach, and Colorado's had some problems in this area. They've had a couple of blocked this year. Jarrell Jackson back deep for the Sooners of Oklahoma. High punt, angled to the far sideline, and will go ahead and bound into the end zone for a touchback. So Oklahoma will get the ball for their first offensive possession when we come back to Norman. 10:57 left to go, first quarter. Daniels can run it, and Daniels close to the first down at the 40-yard line, about a yard shy, as Brady McDonald made the stop. And now the Chili's starting lineups for the University of Oklahoma. Kepnick, their best offensive lineman on the left side. O'Neal, the junior college transfer at center. Chris Blocker, Jason Freeman, as they'll use a 3-back set on many occasions. And there is DeMond Parker. He is the man. He's rushed for over 2,500 yards in his career here at Oklahoma, and he's got the ball, and he cuts it up, and he's got the first down.
Roger, we're going to go back to that first play for Oklahoma, and what we will show is, once again, Oklahoma throwing the ball or attempting to throw the ball on a first down. It's a great play for the Sooners because Brandon Daniels is such a running threat. He takes it with every intention to run unless the defense allows him to throw. He tucks it under and goes, and then it turns it into 2nd and 1.5. Hey, you can call plays in 2nd and 1.5. That's 2 series in a row.
You think you trust me to that? Huh?
Well, if you can't, Joe Sullivan there to your left can. Yeah.
One of us could up here, huh?
Joe,
this brain trust of ours.
Quarterback sneak left. Just left.
1st and 10. From the 43, the rollout by Brandon Daniels. Now he's going to throw it back the other way, and it's dropped right in the hands of Matt Anderson, the junior from Moore, Oklahoma, and he had some room in front of him. As we check out the Colorado defense, Justin Bannon really came on last week.
Oh, I love him. He's just a redshirt freshman. I think he is a potential superstar.
At linebacker, a guy we're going to talk about a lot today, Hannibal Navies.
Gotta love a guy with a name like that.
You bet.
Oh, he can play.
Marcus Washington. He gets a start today as Rashidi Barnes suffered a concussion in that Baylor game. Will not play.
Baylor missing 2 premier players today. Marcus Stiggers, the speedy wide receiver in Colorado, and Rashidi Barnes, of course. Those are 2 big-time players.
Penalty against Colorado, face mask called.
They're not playing against Baylor either, so I guess Baylor is missing them today.
Yeah, that's right.
That last play from Oklahoma was a screen pass left. Jamel Holloway on the Oklahoma sideline. I assume John Blake would like to slip him into the lineup if things don't go well for Brandon Daniels today.
He racked up some yardage in his career here, didn't he? 1st and 10, 43-yard line. The handoff will go to Parker. Cuts it back. He's got some room. Strong runner down to the 30-yard line and a 1st down. John Sanders finally makes a stop. They need to get the ball in his hands.
Well, they do, and they need to get it to him when the defense doesn't know it's coming to him. That's been the problem the first 3 weeks. But the linebackers have to respect some pass. It goes back like it's a play-action pass, freezes the linebackers. Demond Parker, you get him the ball 5 yards downfield. That's what A.J. Kristoff told us, the defensive coordinator, as we mentioned a moment ago. They've got to stop him before he gets 5 yards downfield, or he'll do that every time.
1st and 10 at the 30. Blocker, the lone wide receiver, split to the far side, and Daniels is going to go to him. Penalty markers go down. See, they put Daniels in that quick drop that time. Dean, just a couple of steps.
Yeah, it was a quick 3-step drop, and they were going for a pass again on a 1st down.
And while we've got a moment, let's go to New York and John Saunders. John?
Rogers, the Burger King update. Washington State last year against UCLA stuffed Jermaine Lewis and held on to beat UCLA. Didn't stop them this time at the goal line. 7-0. The Bruins on top. Roger.
All right, John, thank you very much. Welcome back here to Norman. It'll be 1st and 15 now for Oklahoma. Gerald Williams has checked into the game. He's split to the top of your screen. Less than 9 minutes to go, 1st quarter, and look at this. Can he stay in bounds? He stepped out at the 11. Brandon Daniels looked like he had clear sailing and maybe didn't know exactly where he was at. Seth Luttrell got him a great block to spring him loose.
Yeah, 35, a terrific fullback, great blocker here on this play. And Oklahoma, that's an option to the outside, with the only option being, does he keep the ball or does he pitch it? And there's the block on the ground. You see 2 defenders and Seth Luttrell. When Parker says, hey, they're on me, but you go. Couldn't quite tight wire it.
24 yards on the pickup for Brandon Daniels. 1st and 10. 3 backs in there. Parker's got it. Can he sprint to the outside? Touchdown, Oklahoma! Penalty marker goes down.
All right, we'll see the blocking on this play is Jason Freeman up top, 86, the tight end. Also, Bayless, 27, the Z-back gets a block. Sooners just wall that off completely, and a little spurt by a guy in Demond Parker who can spurt with the best of them, and Oklahoma's touchdown will stand.
The touchdown will stand. The penalty for celebration. Excessive celebration after the play. So Parker with his 2nd touchdown of the year. And Oklahoma very impressive on their first drive of this game.
Hey, if I'm Demond Parker, I don't know, you never want to get a penalty, but as frustrating as it's been for him this year,
so this will move the ball back on the point after attempt to the 18-yard line. And they'll set it down at the 25, so 35 yards on the point after attempt by Matt Reeves.
Puts the odds at about 50-50 the way Oklahoma kicks.
No good. Good call, team. Damon Parker. The touchdown run at Oklahoma. On the board first here in Norman. This presentation of college football brought to you by the new Dodge. It's about change. Chili's, a proud sponsor of ABC College Football. Solomon Smith Barney, let's get to work. Success is earned. And Nike. 11-yard touchdown run by Damon Parker. 4 carries for 28 yards on that drive as Jeff Ferguson to kick it off deep. Not so deep as Cormier takes it at the 7. This is the speedster. Look out. Finally cut off at the pass at the 40-yard line. And a penalty flag down back at the 35. Cedric Cormier, the redshirt freshman, 55 yards, and he is down and slow in getting up at the 40-yard line.
Holding that left leg, that does not look good short term for Cormier.
Cormier had a 82-yard punt return for a touchdown in the opening game of the year against Colorado State. Colorado has been racked by injuries so far this year, and Cormier, the redshirt freshman out of Houston, slow in getting up. And while we've got a moment, Dean, let's take a look at the touchdown by Parker and then the subsequent penalty that was called on the play.
Well, it's called because of high stepping, and he begins high stepping on about the 4-yard line, and the rule is you can't do it to bring attention to yourself or to make fun of, in essence, a defender. That's a very questionable call, and Oklahoma misses the extra point because of it. How legitimate was the hold on the following kickoff? Who knows? In the NBA, there's a lot of makeup calls, and it happens in other sports as well.
1st and 10, ball back at the 24-yard line. Colorado trying to run it, and they're not having much success at the moment. Barnes, the ball carrier, gets maybe a yard. Ante Jones, one of the first men there to get him. And next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on ABC Sports, we've got regional football action for you in the Big 12. It'll be Nebraska, Texas, or Kansas State and Colorado. Out west, Notre Dame will take on Arizona State, or UCLA and Arizona. And elsewhere, Penn State goes against Minnesota, and the ACC matchup, Georgia Tech and North Carolina State. Check your local listings in your area for the game you'll be seeing. As Barnes takes it on the pitch around the left side, can he get to the corner? Gets about 4 to the 30. A penalty flag is down as Ghana Joseph, 29, and Corey Ivy, number 9, the men over to make the tackle. Both of these teams have had problems with penalties this year, both averaging 9 penalties a game. The referee today, Steve Juszczyk.
Well, I understand they call it a tackle on number 9. Yeah, it gets the hands around there. Another one that could go either way, though. I know Colorado was especially happy to have 2 good backs. I got a problem with the ref now. When I'm quiet for him, his mic doesn't work. And then when I start talking, it does work for him. But regardless, the point being, Barnes is healthy. He's playing well, number 9. Number 10, who will be in later, is Dwayne Charrington. For the first time this year, Colorado has its 1-2 punch at tailback.
And you just don't figure Colorado not to have a good running game. I mean, they've always had a good running game through the years.
Well, here recently, they've gotten a little softer in that regard.
How about this crowd starting to make some noise here? 2nd down and 20 back on the 14-yard line as Machete calling an audible at the line of scrimmage. Quick drop going to Shiverini. Can he run underneath of it? Contact, interference.
Corey Ivy, the man called for it. When in doubt, or when Machete needs a big play, he goes to Shiverini.
When coaches game plan, they look for matchups that they like. Shiverini against virtually anyone is good, but against Oklahoma's Corey Ivy, number 9, they love this matchup. Watch him here, isolated in space. Corey Ivy is not really a good open space defender. You can spin him around some.
Never looked at the ball either.
Yeah. That's great game planning. You know, their point is, Mike, whenever we get this situation, we don't care if you are on our 5-yard line into a gale. Barry Switzer in the middle, but you're going to check to that play.
I thought he could do better as far as a seat. That's not a very good seat for a guy that's won national championships at this school. Must be right on the 50 though, huh?
I imagine he likes it out amongst them a little bit.
First and 10 for Colorado, and Barnes takes it to the near side. Gain of about 4 on that play. Kelly Gregg, 97. You know, it's really unusual when a down lineman is your leading tackler.
Yeah, it is.
Kelly Gregg is the leading tackler this year for Oklahoma. He led them in tackles last year, and a defensive lineman has not led Oklahoma in tackles in consecutive years in over 30 years.
Well, it's unusual to do that, but this guy is an unusual player. 97. We'll be featuring on him much of the day. Kelly is a player that's about 5'11", almost 290. He'll probably be drafted in the NFL despite that lack of size, or lack of height rather, and he is just a terrific player.
Second and 6, 34-yard line. Quick drop by Machete. He goes to Shiverini and nearly pulled it in. Couldn't get it. Corey Ivy over there on the coverage.
Oklahoma willing to give Colorado some of the stuff on the outside, and the Buffs are having to work for those passes. I mean, that's literally, it might go down in the books as an 8-yard gain, but that's a ball that's in the air for about 45 yards. Not an easy throw and catch. Now, Colorado, I know, is just dying to bust a run because Oklahoma, much like Colorado, will stack people close to the line. Once they bust through, there's a chance to go.
3rd down and 6. Wide receivers split to the far side. Coming inside, and it's thrown behind Shiverini. And a penalty marker goes down. Penalty marker goes down. We have word that the outstanding young wide receiver, as the penalty goes against Colorado. For Colorado, Cedric Cormier has suffered an ACL injury to his knee. And obviously will not return. And
well,
this Colorado team has been absolutely devastated by injuries this year.
Well, they surely have, especially on the offensive line, where they have not started the same offensive line in a game all season, in consecutive games.
So on a 4th down and 6, and 6:17 left to go, first quarter, Peach will come in to punt it inside his 20. Jarrell Jackson averaging nearly 13 yards a return back at the 20-yard line to return it. And boy, he just barely made that catch, and he fell forward to the 21-yard line. Jackson nearly misjudged it.
He doesn't know what a fair catch is.
Yeah.
I've watched him every game he's played on tape, and he's never caught one with a fair catch.
48 yards on the punt. Timeout. 6:09 left to go, first quarter, and Oklahoma leads it.
Oklahoma never fair catches a ball. And here's a good example of a defender bearing down on him. He leans forward to catch it. That's the first thing they teach if you're back there catching it. Do not let the ball hit the ground.
On 1st and 10, Parker right up the middle, and a gain of about 5. So now, because they've thrown it a little bit, Dean, they've run it to the outside, the middle starts to open up.
Softens up, and that will only open up the entire field for Oklahoma. Now, what they will end up having to do is to come back at some point and prove that they can throw the football again, and we'll see if they can. They did successfully do that early, and that's what loosened it up, of course.
Colorado had a terrific defensive performance against Baylor. They allowed just one play over 20 yards in that game as Daniels goes back, flushed out of the pocket, on the run, tries to throw it, and the pass is broken up on the near side. Jarrell Jackson, the intended receiver, he was covered back there by Ben Kelly, and there's an Oklahoma player down at the 10-yard line. Kempnick, number 72, their best offensive lineman.
Yeah, Scott Kempnick is a heck of a football player. He's bound for the NFL, and he was injured before the season started. On this last play, though, it was a poor decision by Brandon Daniels, who has made good decisions thus far. Watch him on play action. He's back. Colorado respects the pass. They drop back. Daniels has good escapability here. All he has to do is beat that one defender, and no telling how far he could have gone. That's a low percentage pass for Dan Marino, and it's almost off the scale for Brandon Daniels.
Watch this now, Kempnick. You see right there his left knee. Goodness, folks, that is not something I care to look at.
How many of those for you, Raj?
Been there, seen it, done it.
Yeah.
Man,
well,
there's Cormier on the bench, and you know, we've talked about the Colorado injuries. Their offensive line, their running backs. Stiggers, their outstanding receiver, missing the game today. Now Cormier with the left knee injury, so they're going to be very short at wide receiver. 5:30 left to go, first quarter, and Oklahoma with a 6-0 lead over Colorado. A 6'5", 312-pounder being helped off the field. And Dean, we saw in the Oklahoma practice the other day, all the linemen wear those protective knee braces, and Kempnick had the brace on, so you know, maybe it helped in that situation, but that didn't look good.
No,
as he was hit, and hit right there is the quarterback Brandon Daniels, and Damon Wheeler, the left side cornerback, was a man that came busting through to drop him for the loss of about 5.
Well, Wheeler's a terrific player too. He's a Thorpe candidate in the secondary at corner, but he's probably not the best corner on the team as Brandon Daniels is off. That was not executed properly, but a good defensive play by Wheeler. Ben Kelly's probably the best cornerback.
Ferguson will stand back at the 6-yard line, and to return is Roman Hollowell. Now, Cormier usually brings back the punts, and as I mentioned earlier, returned 182 yards for a touchdown against Colorado State, but Hollowell will return the punt from Jeff Ferguson. High snap. Ferguson brings it down and then hits a low end-over-end job. And they made out very well down to the 32-yard line.
Oklahoma extremely fortunate there. All right, we saw Colorado's perspective earlier. Oklahoma from their perspective today offensively, and we wrote this up before the game started, complete enough passes to keep the defense honest, and that's exactly what has happened so far. Defensively, they are looking to disrupt Colorado by putting a clock in the quarterback's head, Machete, and that means you bring pressure from him and have him thinking of the pressure at all times.
Good news. Word is Kempnick might return. That's the word up from the bench. So 48-yard punt, 1st and 10, 32-yard line for the Buffaloes of Colorado. Shiverini goes in motion to the far side. Lone setback as Barnes takes it across the 35 up to about the 37-yard line. William Barty came up to make the stop. And Sunday night, live at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Dean, you know where I'm going. I'm going to Kansas City. Seattle and Kansas City. This will be a great AFC West matchup. And then Monday night on ABC Sports, it's Monday Night Football at its new time, 8 Eastern. And it's the Vikings 4-0. The Packers 4-0.
Well, Green Bay's going to score 50. How many is Minnesota going to score?
I'll tell you what, Randy Moss, a lot of folks missed on him, didn't they?
Yeah.
2nd and 5. Barnes has got it again, and folks, can he get to the outside? Ivy is there to put the hammer on him. Boy, great pursuit. It was a sea of red to the right side.
Well, that's what you want a team to do. On defense, you want them to run east-west. That's if your field runs north-south, and it does here. They're running east-west here, and Oklahoma's speed defensively is exceptional. 84, Dale Allen. Also defensively, you have Corey Ivy, 9, and Oklahoma sends Barnes, makes him pop this thing out, bounce it out wide. Great play defensively.
3rd down and 5, 37-yard line. Machete being chased out, now chased down and dumped right there. 85 got to him. Frank Romero, the true freshman out of Moore, Oklahoma.
Once again, the key to that play is Machete was fooled before he got the football in his hands. Oklahoma disguising blitzes very, very well. Watch the left corner of your screen. You'll see 85 Romero, true freshman out of Moore High School. Good pressure here, but the reason that happens is that defensively Oklahoma adjusted at the last moment.
Machete was sacked 18 times coming into this game. They have gotten to him a lot this year as Peach sends the punt down. Oh, and he was hit early. Jackson was hit. The ball, though, bounces into the hands of number 2 for the University of Oklahoma, Mike Woods, and there are flags down all over the place. Damian Barton was the man who came down and hit Jarrell Jackson before he got the football. He was not going to call a fair catch, was he, Dean?
He could be standing out there and a train would be barreling down on him. He wouldn't flinch. It's not always smart, by the way. I'm not condoning it all the time.
Dean, there's some people that fair catch it all the time, like he used to do. And then there are those people, that are willing to take a risk in life.
I got to be such a pansy. I fair caught it in a shotgun formation.
We have a halo violation on the kicking team.
You got to give that man just a little bit of room to catch the ball.
Yeah, halo is 6 feet. There's a circle drawn around the epicenter. He's the guy in the middle, right there, 6 feet around number 1. And that's approximately 6 inches.
Wait a second. Where is the... Well, see, as things worked out, Woods got the football, and they brought it up to the 49-yard line. Now, where is the epicenter on this this field?
Well, I think we'll stay away from that right now. I thought that was taking it to the edge. Let's get back to belly right.
Let's get to belly right. First and 10, 49-yard line, 2:24 left to go. First quarter, 59 has checked into the game at left tackle for Kempnick, and that is Stephen Burcham, a sophomore from Mustang, Oklahoma, as the ball carrier, Damon Parker. Check out some scores from around college football on this first weekend in October. There's Romero. Interesting kid. Started last game for Oklahoma. He was the only true freshman in the history of Moore High School to start, and he goes to college and starts as a true freshman. I mean, not many guys can do that.
Well, they've got a great high school program over there. The Lions winners last night to stay undefeated.
On 2nd and 6. Inside the 45 to the 44-yard line, Brandon Daniels. Albus Brooks, a redshirt freshman from Claremont, California, number 21, whose nickname is Blackout. And I'll just let you figure out what that is all about.
Offensive coordinator Joe Dickinson told us yesterday something interesting about Brandon Daniels. He said, he has an exterior about him that is very confident. On the inside, I really don't know. But right now, he understands to be a quarterback at Oklahoma, you're going to take the boos and the negative, and we'll see if he can respond.
Oklahoma 31% on 3rd down this year, as they've got it 3rd and 3, and the pass and the completion. Look at that. Gerald Williams hauls it in at the 38-yard line. Ben Kelly over on the coverage, and Gerald Williams with just his 2nd reception of the year. And Dean, you come to Oklahoma as a wide receiver, you need to be a patient young man.
Well, now you got to realize the system that Oklahoma had when some of these receivers were recruited. Howard Schnellenberger recruited some of them, and it was a pass-happy system was what he was planning to employ. Now I would say you're right. You probably would want to be a little bit patient. Oklahoma picking its spots to pass very well, though.
Parker's got it on the pitch, and nice defensive play right there. Number 21 came up to make the hit. That was Albus Brooks, young linebacker that Rick Neuheisel and A.J. Kristoff, the defensive coordinator, very excited about.
No, I absolutely love this guy. He has a standing jump, broad jump of 10 feet. Now imagine that, 10 feet. Just stand flat foot and jump as far as you can. That gets back to A.J. Kristoff, the coordinator for Colorado, saying what they wanted to do again was to get Damon Parker before he got into the secondary. And there's Kristoff right there. Good look at him. And that was good execution of their game plan.
On 2nd and 10, 37-yard line. Daniels is going to throw it near side and not thrown very well there. The intended receiver was Jarrell Jackson.
Well, you know, I was just complimenting them on picking their spots well. I don't know if you call that picking your spot very well, because Jarrell Jackson is about 5'7½". He's lined up over there against a great cover guy and Ben Kelly.
That's a tough throw to make.
It's a very tough throw.
That's tough for a really good, solid drop back quarterback. By the way, we just got word Kempnick now definitely will not be back today.
Well, I was wondering about that earlier.
The way he got hit and the way he came off, I'm not surprised at that. And there he is. On 3rd and 10, 15 seconds left to go, first quarter, and they're going to try to come with the pitch back in the end around this way, and brought down at the 35-yard line, Johnny Bayless. So a little reverse pitch that time, and Bayless gets just a couple. And we've reached the end of the first quarter. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
This is ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series.
Roger Twyble, Dean Blevins back with you in Norman, Oklahoma on a 4th down and 8 from the 35. Oklahoma's going to attempt a field goal to 52 yards. Jeff Ferguson, a redshirt freshman, on his longest has been 40. And yeah, they're going to pooch it down there. And not bad inside the 15. Let's see, right at the 14-yard line.
Hand it to him. That's very creative.
Yeah.
Pete McGinnis and his guys. Oklahoma has not been known for being effective in the kicking game for many years now, and Ferguson is a guy who struggled with mononucleosis, and if Oklahoma misses that field goal, you give Colorado the ball in great position, and as it is now, they're backed up to the 14.
Ruins your punting average, though, only 20 yards on the if you're looking at your stats. But
helps that final score possibility.
Yeah, you don't have to go in and negotiate in college like you do in the pros, do you?
Well, at most schools you don't.
1st and 10, 19-yard line. I'll tell you, Colorado struggled offensively in the first quarter.
Yeah, they really have. 18 rushing yards for the Buffs on 11 carries. Of course, they had that sack that set them back, but we mentioned off the top that 130 yards is what they really need to do in total rushing to execute their game plan. They're a long way from that.
Just underway, second quarter. Lights on here at Norman, Oklahoma. Colorado 4-0, ranked 15th in the nation. Oklahoma 2-1, coming off a bye week and trying the left side. And Kelly Gregg not letting anything happen inside there. I'll tell you what, he is just a burrowing animal. Great wrestler. Matter of fact, in high school, he was the #1 heavyweight wrestler in the country. And just, you know, he's one of those guys, the scouts look at him, gee, we wish he was 6'3", gee, we wish this. Well, you know what? He's a football player.
Yeah, you're right. He plays with great leverage. He's great off the ball. His motor flies very, very rapidly. John Blake, who's coaching the defensive lineman, says he thinks he's the best defensive lineman in the Big 12. He's a tad biased, of course.
On 2nd and 10, Machete's going to roll out, finds a receiver over the far side, Roman Hollowell. Hollowell with just his 2nd catch of the year, and of course he's going to get some time now that Cormier has injured the knee. Corey Ivy and Ante Jones were there to make the tackle.
Colorado now will really be looking to Cheverini as a primary receiver, as if they didn't already, with both Stiggers and Cormier out.
On 3rd down and 6, they'll split their receivers to the near side, Green and Cheverini. Straight drop by Machete. He's looking near side all the way. Now he's in trouble. Can he get to the 1st down marker? Close to it at the 24-yard line. Frank Romero, the freshman, was there to bring him down, and let's see where they spot it. And we'll get a measurement. And the first quarter stats look like this, and we talked about Colorado, not much happening. 86 yards total for Oklahoma.
Great defense in that first quarter, really both ways, but particularly on the Oklahoma side.
And Machete,
big play by Machete.
That athletic ability.
Yeah, he's a gamer. You know, I like this guy.
Against Baylor, they ran the option successfully. He had 1 touchdown run on an option play and then hurt an ankle on another option play. And he's been banged up some this year. He's really not at 100%.
No, he's had his ribs banged up. He's had the ankle. He's been hurt. He was sick in the spring when they gave him a semi-try at safety. I think they were actually recruiting some other quarterbacks and didn't want to move him over to quarterback to scare away the recruits. But I really like Mike Machete. He is, as I said, a gamer.
1st and 10, 24-yard line. Penalty marker goes down. Free play, but nothing happening as, once again, Colorado struggling to run the football.
Well, it isn't happening, but Machete, a guy, I was about to say veteran. He is a veteran in the sense that he was a champion in junior college, and he's 23 and played big league ball. He's really a rookie in this sense, but he's doing a great job of calling Oklahoma's defense with the cadence, getting them off sides.
Yeah, Rocky Bright, number 95, the sophomore from Tulsa.
Defense, 5-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
Jumped offside that time. One thing about Machete, he played at Mount San Antonio Junior College after playing in professional baseball in the Oakland A's organization. But going back to last year at Mount Sac, he has been the quarterback in 17 consecutive victories. I mean, he is a winner. He's one of those guys that knows how to win. On 1st and 5, they try a little inside handoff. Not much happening there. Maybe a gain of a yard as Frank Romero once again makes the tackle.
You mentioned that Baylor game a moment ago that the Buffs had to really struggle to win. I think if Machete doesn't go down in that game with the injury, they're about to blow the Bears out up in Boulder. And when he goes down, of course, they bring in Adam Bledsoe, and they struggle a little bit, even fumble a snap, have a punt problem. But I think the game probably goes easily to Colorado if Machete doesn't get injured.
2nd down and 3, 31-yard line. Quick drop by Machete. Now he's going to find Cheverini on the near side. Look at the adjustment made by Cheverini, and a penalty marker goes down. A penalty flag goes down as Cheverini was hit after he ran out of bounds, and the closest man to him was Ghana Joseph over there.
Well, guys, this is a no contest. And when you match up 9, Corey Ivy does some things very, very well. He's a steady player for Oklahoma, the corner 9. He cannot match up with Cheverini.
On a defense, 15-yard penalty.
Cheverini now 3 receptions, 38 yards.
Fade route, man-to-man. He gets outside, and the ball is thrown to the outside as it should be. Perfect job of adjusting, and you're right, in slow motion.
Look at Joseph. I mean, he was 3 feet out of bounds when he hit him. A senior's got to know better than that.
Terrific concentration by Cheverini.
Colorado's got something going now. 1st and 10 at the Oklahoma 33-yard line. 12:15 to go. Second quarter from Norman. Missed tackle in the backfield, but nothing missed right there at the 34-yard line. Going to be a loss of about 1 as Dwayne Charrington that time had nowhere to go.
Well, Charrington's one of about 10 guys with an ankle problem as you get another look at Ghana Joseph, Oklahoma's strong safety, finally playing in the right position. I think they had him out of position last year as a free safety. This guy is a strong safety. But, you know, the front for Colorado's got to do a better job. Cook is a good player. Beto, Johanningmeyer, I know he's just been at center for a while, but he's really a good player. They've got to do a better job and give them more continuity.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12 as Machete will sprint out. Gregg is given chase. Oh, he's hit just as he let it go, but the catch is made at the 20-yard line. Beautiful job right there as Javon Green hauled it in, but Machete took a hammer as soon as he let the ball go.
Ante Jones 11, and one of the things that Rex Ryan is wanting to do is be in the face of Mike Machete all day. That was successful from Oklahoma's standpoint, but a terrific play again from Machete and great concentration out there by Green.
1st and 10, 19-yard line. Boy, Oklahoma showing blitz. They're going to come an end around, and there's some room there for Hollowell. Hollowell finally out of bounds at the 15-yard line. Gain of about 4. Terry White and Corey Ivy over there to push him out.
He was taken out of bounds by Corey Ivy.
Well, we talked about Corey Ivy being steady in some ways and sometimes getting beat in man-to-man coverage. That time he was the guy that saved the touchdown as the Buffs appeared to have Oklahoma's number, but Corey Ivy stayed home, as they like to say. Did a very nice job there. He had containment.
2nd down and 6 from the 15. The tight end Ashworth will come to the near side. Shiverini is split at the bottom of the screen. Little muff on the snap from center, and nothing happening on the right side right there as Cornelius Burton came up to get Dwayne Charrington. And folks, Oklahoma has been awesome. Their opponents have run 165 plays, and 80 of those there have been 0 or minus yardage, and there is another.
This play almost was a turnover. Watch, Johanningmeyer, Machete, an exchange, almost fumbled here. They had this happen a couple of times last week. And as a quarterback, I can tell you, if that's in the back of your mind, you can't hardly go execute.
3rd down and 11. Charrington, the deep back. Machete looking deep, and touchdown! Shiverini. Mike Woods was there on the coverage, but Shiverini went up and brought it down.
You know, Machete sometimes gets criticized for looking for his buddy Shiverini too much. How can you not look for a guy when he goes up and gets balls like this? One-on-one coverage against Oklahoma's best cover guy in Mike Woods. It's a jump ball. Woods in pretty good position, but Shiverini uses his body extremely well and gets separation.
20-yard touchdown pass as Aldridge comes on to attempt the point after, and it's good. And Colorado takes the lead. 10-11 left to go. First half from Norman. And Machete to Shiverini. And the Buffs are on top 7-6.
Now on pay-per-view, $500,000 in cash is up for grabs.
Booyah.
And it's anyone's game.
Here we go.
Rolling Stone magazine calls Jackie Brown a knockout. Pam Grier, Samuel L. Jackson, Robert Forster, Bridget Fonda, Michael Keaton, and Robert De Niro, Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown. Now on pay-per-view, rated R. Soundtrack available on Abandapart Maverick Records.
Tomorrow night on Sunday Night Football, the Seattle Seahawks are at Arrowhead Stadium to face the Kansas City Chiefs. Sunday Night Football begins at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Then on Monday Night Football, it's an NFC Central showdown. The Minnesota Vikings take on the Green Bay Packers at historic Lambeau Field. It all starts at 8 Eastern, Monday Night Football on ABC.
And welcome back to Norman, Oklahoma. Mike Machete, 4 of 4, 59 yards on that drive in his passing. Shiverini, 4 receptions, 58 yards on the day, and a touchdown, 20 yards from his partner right there. 10 plays, 86 yards, 443 as Colorado goes on top by a 7-6 count.
That's backyard football, just one-on-one. Throw it up. Remember when you used to have your buddy, just the two of you against two of the guys down the road? Throw it up and catch it.
As we look at Shiverini, we're told that Barnes for Colorado has a separated shoulder, so the injuries just continue to go. And Adam Carpenter also banged up for Oklahoma, as Damon Parker and Michael Thornton back deep for OU. And the kickoff by Mark Mariscal, taken at the 15-yard line and rolling over to the 29. Number 27 for the Oklahoma Sooners there, bringing it back, was Johnny Bayless. And tomorrow live at 4 Eastern on ABC Sports, Championship Auto Racing, the Texaco Grand Prix of Houston. The inaugural race will take place on a temporary street course down there. Last time a driver won back-to-back titles was in '86 and '87. Bobby Rahal did it, but points leader Alex Zanardi looks to take his second. Auto racing right here on ABC Sports. So 1st and 10, 29-yard line. See if Oklahoma can get it back, and they hand it to Parker right up the middle. Gain of about 5 on the play. John Sanders came up to make the stop. Sanders, who had surgery Monday on his hand. They had to put a screw in there because of a broken bone. Dean, you know, I've never been able to read lips. Can you help me out on this one? Or?
I wasn't watching it, but okay. He isn't the first to wear a bandana on this field, but there haven't been too many. Had a teammate named Thomas Lott, who was probably the most famous of the bandana-clad players.
On 2nd and 6, they're going to run the option, and Daniels will pitch it back to Parker, and it goes nowhere, and a loss back to the 30. Now keep in mind, Kempnick, the left tackle, Carpenter, the left guard, both are hurt, and Burcham, 59, and Smith, 71, are in there to take their place.
Well, that is part of the problem, because Kempnick is outstanding, and Carpenter has started off and on for a couple of years. The other problem is that Oklahoma on the perimeter has been miserable the first few games in the option.
I don't know. I got 2 new guys in the offensive line. I'm going the other way, Dean. You know, I got 3rd down and 9, and that's where the quarterback Daniels is going this time. He throws it and nearly intercepted. Ben Kelly was back there on the coverage. The intended receiver was number 10, Gerald Williams.
Western Union right there. Ben Kelly doesn't need the advantage of having a telegraph, but he got one.
Well, now time for our Aflac trivia question. And folks, when Colorado and Oklahoma played in 1980, they set an NCAA record. What is it? We'll tell you in just a few moments.
I'm not good at trivia, but I know that one.
Roman Hollowell back to receive the punt at his 25. Jeff Ferguson standing at the 16-yard line on a 4th and 9. High snap again. He's pulled it down. Kick going out of bounds on the far side. And let's see where the officials will spot it at as they're walking up to the 39-yard line. So a high snap by the center, Ben Painter. And Colorado with pretty good field position, just 31 yards on the punt. The Buffs lead at 7-6 here in Norman. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. Coors Light, frost brewed to tap the clean taste of the Rockies. Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide. And Burger King, if you ask us, it just tastes better. Roger Twibell, Dean Blevins with you in Norman, Oklahoma. 1st and 10 for Colorado at the 39-yard line. They moved it right down the field on their last possession. Machete's got a man wide open. Dan Graham, the tight end. He's got sailing down inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. Goodness sakes, the 3rd string tight end with his first reception of the year, and it's a big one.
Well, it was a big one, and it was one where he was wide open. Oklahoma's free safety, Terry White, burned. Graham slips underneath, and Terry White, 13, is deep here. Wide open, great play fake. And the only thing that saved the touchdown here is Oklahoma's Mike Woods, the fastest player on the club, bringing him down inside the 5-yard line.
Looked like he got a piece of the face mask, too. Yeah. That is indeed the call.
First down.
Moving down to the 2-yard line. 57 yards on the pass play.
Face mask by Woods out of Del City, a terrific athlete, but on this play, too little, too late, and he's trying to get him down any way he can.
1st and goal from the 2.
Mike Machete is drawing Oklahoma off sides anytime he wants to. You see that a lot in the NFL and not so much in college.
So that'll move it down to the 1-yard line, and Colorado in goal-to-go situation so far this year, 4 touchdowns and a field goal. You can have your red zone, but goal-to-goal is where you really got to get it done, huh?
Yeah, they also have, Rick Neuheisel has a black zone. I think the red zone is 25 to 10. The black zone is 10 to the 4. And you're right. Right now it's goal line situation and just pound it home.
Spivey's the fullback.
Look for Charrington.
Charrington's a deep back. And Machete almost loses the ball. He's down. Boy, I'll tell you what, another bad snap between Johanning Meyer and Machete as Ante Jones came in and was all over him.
Well, part of the problem is you have a short quarterback. Machete says he's 6 feet. He's about 5'10" and a half. Johanning Meyer says he's 6'7". He's 6'8". I mean, he's a big guy. So your hands are up higher. And many times you have the center going one way and the quarterback going the other. That's not necessarily the case there, though. We asked Carl Durrell, the offensive coordinator, about that, and he says, not really a concern. I thought it was after reviewing several tapes, and now we've seen it at least twice here.
2nd and goal from the 6-yard line. Machete eludes one tackler, throws it into the end zone, touchdown. Spivey, the fullback.
Well, Oklahoma was selling out on that play. Defensively, most of the time on the goal line, you have to gamble.
Jeremy Aldridge.
And Colorado does a nice job of capitalizing as Oklahoma gambles and loses. Good comeback here by the Buffs.
Absolutely. Aldridge on to attempt the point after. And it's good. Well, Colorado had scored in 19 straight quarters going back to last year. They didn't score in the first quarter here, but they've come back and done the job so far in the second quarter. A couple of touchdowns, 2 touchdown passes by Machete. And it's 14-6.
And we'll see the all-22 look here, meaning you can see every player on the field. Oklahoma, there's a little bit of a mix-up. I thought there was with Spivey and the quarterback. But as it turns out, Oklahoma sells out. Great play action fake, and you get him on the corner with no, he could have run that ball in. Either way, it's a touchdown. But it appeared that he spiked the football. I don't know if we caught that, but that's what the Oklahoma fans are booing about.
Now, we showed you the Aflac trivia question a moment ago. Back in 1980, Colorado and Oklahoma played, and they set an NCAA record. What is it? Dean, do you have any idea?
Well, I know I watched this one, and there were a lot of points scored, Roger. I believe there were 124. I don't know. I think Colorado had 42.
That's right. Oklahoma had 82.
Oh, there.
That would add up to 124.
Well, that was a track meet, and a lot of people felt that that club of Barry Switzer's had run up the score, when in actuality, John Blake was one of the players in that game. John was telling us, he said, you know, he was a starter, and he said our third team guys got winded because they played so much. We had to go put our shoulder pads back on and go back in. But when you run the wishbone, it's hard to run the clock out.
Well, he said even the third stringers were getting tired, right?
Yeah,
they had to bring them out.
Colorado sure turned it around, though. All they've done is Oklahoma hasn't beaten them since 1988.
Well, it's interesting. They went to a couple guys that are not usually in their passing game on that drive because they've had some injuries at receiver as Mariscal kicks it downfield and taken by Damon Parker. And Parker spinning to the outside up to the 30 to the 31-yard line. And coming up on the Valvoline halftime report, 98 scores and highlights with John Saunders and Todd Blackledge in our studios in New York. And I wonder how Todd's feeling after that Penn State-Ohio State game today, huh?
Well, Todd's pretty objective about it, but it's got to hurt his soul because when your alma mater goes down soundly, it's never too much fun.
Well, Oklahoma's got to get something back on track here now. 7:59 left to go first half. They trail it by 8. And they've had some injuries to their offensive line as they'll try Parker. Parker, gain of about 3 there. A little cutback that time by Damon Parker. John Sanders was there to make the stop. You know, Parker could become the first OU back to go for over 1,000 yards in 3 straight seasons. He's done it 2 years in a row, and last year he did it, Dean, missing 5 games.
Well, he's a phenomenal back. You know, one of the interesting things that we were told yesterday that I have had no idea about, Oklahoma apparently thought that Damon Parker may not come back and play this year, even after he came back in the fall, that he might go into the supplemental draft. And that's one of the reasons they've been confused offensively this season.
2nd and 7. Daniels trying to throw the ball downfield. Got a man and knocked out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Ahmed Kaba. His 2 previous receptions this year were for touchdowns and a big gainer on his 3rd. Damon Wheeler was there to knock him out of bounds.
Kaba's a nice receiver for Oklahoma. He gives him the threat of the deep ball because he has great speed. He's also a rangy guy at about 6'2". So he's matched up with a defender, Damon Wheeler, who he has about a 3 or 4 inch height advantage. And that's a pretty well thrown ball from a guy who had only thrown 20 balls coming into the season. Coming into this game, rather.
34 yards on the pickup. 1st and 10, 32-yard line. Parker, hole on the left side, and Damon Parker, such a strong runner. Gain of about 7 on the play as he followed his center, Matt O'Neill, the junior college transfer from Palomar out in Southern California.
Well, it's pretty simple. When Oklahoma is successful throwing the ball, you can look for them to be successful in giving that guy, 33, the leather, because it loosens up the defense. Colorado really stacks its safeties up inside as much as any team I've ever seen. But when you throw the football, you have to respect that.
Tulsa leading San Diego State at halftime.
Well, Dave Rader doing a nice job.
Now the option. Daniels cuts it up, and he's got the first down to the 20. Aaron Marshall, number 90, the senior from Chicago.
This is a nice play that's called the midline option, and it's a play that can either be a handoff to the fullback. They're reading the 3 technique. It can either be a handoff right there, or the quarterback takes it up inside. And this time, Brandon Daniels knows what the yard marker is that he needs to get the first down, and he accomplishes it. Another man goes down, and this is another great player.
That's 97 Justin Bannon, the redshirt freshman from Fair Oaks, California, who had a start against Baylor and made 7 tackles. So we've had 4 players already leave the game because of injuries, 3 knees and a shoulder.
Oklahoma needs to answer right here, Roger, with putting the points up early, and Colorado responding very well, very impressively with the 14. Time winding down in the first half, and John Blake wants some momentum on his side going into the halftime locker room.
Chris Blocker split to the top. 1st and 10, 20-yard line. That's Kaba in motion as the handoff will go to Luttrell straight up the middle, and he's just scrambling trying to find a yard or two. Nick Ziegler, 57, was there to make the tackle. Ziegler, 57, a senior from Huntington Beach, California, led the Colorado team in tackles for losses and sacks last year.
Matt O'Neill's an interesting story. He came in from a junior college this year, an All-American player, and Oklahoma signed him, and immediately he stepped in and started. And his offensive line coach, Pittman, says that he is better than last year's player, Bruce McClure, already. I don't know if he's that good because McClure was very good, but he almost went to Colorado before Neuheisel pulled the scholarship at the last minute.
On 2nd and 9, Daniels trying to find a man in the end zone, underthrown and broken up. And I want to tell you, folks, that was a heck of a job by Gerald Williams to come back as an offensive player, became a defensive player to break up that possible interception. Back on the coverage was Ben Kelly there.
Ben Kelly saying, I think there was interference on that, and it would have been offensive is what he's wanting. At the top of your screen, you see the cornerback locked in man coverage against Gerald Williams. This ball is underthrown. Not a good throw, not a smart throw. That should have been intercepted. And I think it was a good no call. And Ben Kelly was in great position nonetheless. But a terrific play then offensively by the receiver Williams.
Colorado 7th in the nation in pass defense. And so far today, Oklahoma 1 of 4 in 3rd down situations. 3rd down and 9 is Daniels. And there's nobody there. No one was there. He threw it right at the K in Oklahoma.
Brandon Daniels is not comfortable throwing the ball out of the pocket very much. Watch the footwork here by the quarterback. Play action, Damon Parker. Great job by the offensive line, but watch the footwork. Set up, set up, set up. Step towards your target. He's moving to his left and back. You can't throw a ball with any accuracy or velocity with that type of footwork.
On 4th and 9, 37-yard field goal attempt by Matt Reeves. Out of the hold of Jake Sills. And it's good. So Oklahoma gets something out of it. 5:22 left to go first half, and Colorado now with a 5-point, 14-9 lead. Solomon Smith Barney remembers back in 1985, Oklahoma won 11-1 and beat Penn State in the Orange Bowl. For Barry Switzer and the team, it was a national title, the last here at Oklahoma. And Barry, of course, went on to coach the Dallas Cowboys, and now he gets to just come and be a fan, Dean. But he spoke to the coaching staff this week here at OU.
Well, after you sifted through all the accounts of it, the bottom line was John Blake called his mentor and former head coach, and he came in and talked to the offensive staff, and he gave him his opinion. And at the end of the day, they are not running wishbone, not running shotgun. They're going to give it to 33, and believe it or not, he's suggesting they throw the football and find an identity offensively, and it's helped a little bit here in the first half.
Ben Kelly takes it at the goal line, and Kelly across the 15 to the 17-yard line, where he's tripped up there by number 22 for Oklahoma. That's Reggie Skinner. So 5:13 left to go first half. Colorado a 14-9 lead, and Machete's had the hot hand.
Well, he has, and I think that he can thank his head coach Rick Neuheisel, who knows a heck of a lot about offense, and also Carl Dorrell, Rick's close friend, who is the coordinator and quarterback's coach. Machete now has 6 straight completions after 5 misses. He's 8 of 13, has a couple of touchdowns for 137, and I guarantee you Rick knows some offense.
Well, he was a quarterback himself, a walk-on at UCLA, went on to start at that school, play a little professional football as the pitch comes to the near side, and some good yardage on that play for the Buffaloes of Colorado. That was Marlon Barnes, who's checked back into the game. And we mentioned Rick Neuheisel. Well, he's our Home Depot coaches fact today. As I mentioned, a walk-on at UCLA, MVP in the '84 Rose Bowl, academic All Pac-10, attended the other school in Los Angeles to go to law school, member of the Arizona and Washington, D.C. Bar Associations, and he played guitar in concert with Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett.
A rendition of Margaritaville.
Anybody that hangs out with Jimmy Buffett's got to be my kind of man.
Barnes, who's back in after that shoulder problem, on another carry, but nothing happened in there. It's hard for me to say that other school, because our producer Jack Graham went there.
No, he's a major Trojan man.
Yeah.
You know, this is a big series for Colorado and a big 4:48 remaining here in the first half. I think the next team, if a team scores before halftime, I predict that team will win the game.
There's big Ryan Johannimeier, 6'7", 300. He graded out as the best offensive lineman so far this year. He's been moved around. Marlon Barnes, the shoulder obviously okay.
Hey, that's good news.
On 2nd and 10 from the 28-yard line, clock running, and Machete calling an audible at the line of scrimmage. 4:23 left to go, first half from Norman. And Machete want to go downfield and nearly picked off the intended receiver Javon Green, and Cedric Stevens, the senior from Dallas, was over there in the coverage.
Oklahoma has double coverage right here and double coverage on the other side on Cheverini. Cedric Stevens, who started for much of his career, has this one thrown right to it. You talk about a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, a little bit over the shoulder.
That's a cornerback thinking defense, though. You've got to think offense. When that ball's in the air, it's your ball.
I think if he was a receiver, you could say that he should have caught it. I think a defensive back.
Well, if he's a defensive back, he ought to be a receiver.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. 3rd down and 10.
Sounds good.
Stumbled as he got out of there. Now being pursued, eludes one tackler, throws it downfield. And Cheverini looked like he had it, and they're saying no, an incomplete pass.
Rick Neuheisel very hot about that. He thought it was a complete pass. It would have put him in a 4th and short. I don't think Rick's going to go for it at his 35 at this time, but still it's valuable field position.
I'll tell you, that was close. That was very close. Cheverini looked like he had it going down, Dean, and then it was stripped away from him.
Cheverini on the end of the play.
Got it.
It is a catch. Oh!
Ante Jones was the man over there. Punting situation now on 4th and 10.
Spontaneously.
Peach.
Pardon me, Raj.
Beautiful high spiral. Jackson going back inside the 20, eludes one player, gets one block. Across the 30 to the 30. Look at him still go. Look at him. Jarrell Jackson up to the 34-yard line. And now for an update, let's go to New York and John Saunders. John?
Coming up on Valvoline Halftime 98, interesting day in college football, especially in Columbus.
Yeah, Ohio State, very impressive, like Nebraska last week. Strength to run the football, speed on the outside, great on both sides of the ball.
We'll look at that and more. It's all coming up on Valvoline Halftime 98.
All right, thanks, guys. 54 yards on the punt, 16 on the return by Jackson. And so now Oklahoma, with all 3 timeouts remaining, 3:53 left to go first half, trailing at 14-9, have it 1st and 10. And that's Jackson in motion to the top of your screen. Parker to the 40.
That's that second level that A.J. Kristoff doesn't want him to get to. Hey, one more look at that pass play that was controversial a moment ago. This is very close. Neuheisel says it's in. His team ends up punting. You make the call.
Got
it is a catch.
Got it.
It is a catch.
Yeah.
It's close, but it's a catch. In our humble opinion.
Well, now you come around for me. Huh? You came around for me on that. I thought it was a catch the whole way.
During the commercial, I saw a replay of it.
2nd down and 3. Man, nothing happening right there. Nothing going on as Carson Fields, the backup fullback, loses a couple.
You know, you think officiating is easy. That play in regular speed is a difficult call to make. I thought it was a good call initially, and it's a bad call. Okay, you make the call if you're standing right there on the sideline. The referee's back is to the man catching it to Chiaverini. Yeah, a little more difficult.
Still a reception, I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of them where we see it in replay about 5 times and still don't have a clue.
3rd down and 3. Fields is the fullback. Jackson in motion. And they'll give it to Damon Parker. Hit, still stays on his feet, goes forward, close to the 1st down. I'll tell you, great effort right there by Damon Parker, and it looks like he's going to get it. John Sanders put the hit on him, but Parker just kept driving.
Damon Parker has been questioned this year about his durability and having people running through tackles. Well, he says, I haven't had many opportunities. That time he makes the most of everything that was there. He also got some good help from the fullbacks up front.
And it is a 1st down for Oklahoma. Parker on the day averaging 4.5 yards a carry, and Daniels now rolling out, going to throw it deep downfield and well past Gerald Williams. Ben Kelly was back there on the coverage.
Well, I tell you what, they're living up to the credo of the promise of throwing 18 or 20 balls. Let's see this one. This ball was thrown pretty well by Daniels. This is a little dash where they call the back in the pocket and then roll. Daniels comes together. He does a much better job of pulling himself together, getting his feet underneath, and flinging that one. Had a nice tight spiral into a little bit of a wind there. Not a bad throw.
Wind picking up here at Owen Field, Memorial Stadium. Pitch goes back to Damon Parker, cuts it up, stays on his feet, but then knocked back behind the 45-yard line to the 44. John Sanders.
John Sanders.
You know, that's the young man that just had surgery on his hand on Monday. You can see he's wearing a big cast on his left hand. And Oklahoma has called for a timeout. So we're told that linebacker Hannibal Navies has had an ankle injury, and he may return. So the injury count keeps going up.
Why the timeout? It's a critical call, but there's a minute 50, pardon me, a minute 56 to go in the half. 3rd and 9, your conversion percentage is well below 50. If you don't make this, Colorado has the ball with a lot of time left to go. Interesting decision here by the Oklahoma staff.
That's Hannibal Navies right there, number 8. You know, his coach, A.J. Kristoff, has compared him to Derek Thomas, the great Kansas City Chiefs linebacker. And Kristoff can do that because he coached Derek at the University of Alabama. And at 6'3", 245, the senior from Oakland, California, they feel he is going to be a big-time player on Sunday. Wow. And, you know, that's one of the things when you go to Colorado, Dean, when you think about the future. Colorado has sent 39 players to the NFL playing right now. That's the 3rd most of any college. And, you know, it's just part of the program.
Yeah.
I mean, they sent a lot of guys to the NFL. On 3rd down and 9. Less than 2 minutes to go. Daniels setting back in the pocket. Looking for Jackson. He goes up and gets it. Inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Jarrell Jackson with a great adjustment on Ben Kelly.
Oklahoma testing the great cornerback here in Kelly. logic could be throw it deep. If it's intercepted, it's as good as a punt anyway. We may not want a guy snapping back to our punter. Daniels goes deep. Again, it's one-on-one coverage. 1 versus 1. And Oklahoma's Jackson wins that one, makes the better adjustment than Ben Kelly.
They've been throwing at Kelly all day, though.
Yeah, they have.
36 yards on the pickup. 1st and 10 at the 19. And now Daniels has called a timeout.
This timeout had nothing to do other than he was confused with what was going on. And I think that's a good sign for him. I think that that's a sign of confidence. It's easy for a quarterback when you get rattled and the crowd is excited for you to go ahead and go up and just think that the play will develop on its own. It doesn't. I mean, you're the guy taking the snap. You're going to have, before you take the snap, to read the defense, perhaps audible your guys out of it, execute the play. There was confusion in his mind, and I think that's a great sign for him to, in some people's minds, waste a timeout, but I don't think so in this case.
So this young man, who coming into this game had thrown 21 passes in his career, has now thrown 10 so far today. So they made good on the promise that they want to throw it 15 to 20 times. And you see the rushing offense right there by the Oklahoma Sooners, 9th in the country. The passing offense 109th, and they keep track of 112 schools in Division I.
That's why the OU band was chanting, "We're 109th." Yeah. We're 109th. 109. They were talking about passing.
Stock going up.
Stock going up. Rick Neuheisel's favorite saying, isn't it?
1 timeout remaining for Oklahoma. 1st and 10, 19-yard line. 1:38 left to go first half, and Colorado a 14-9 lead as the tight end Freeman was in motion there, and Daniels will pitch it back to Parker. He's got 1 man in front of him. Can't elude him. Nice play made over there by Marcus Washington.
Boy, that is.
Free safety. Big man at 6'3" and 215 pounds.
Well, all that play meant for Marcus Washington is that you've got Damon Parker in open field. If you stop him, the play's nullified. If you don't, it's a touchdown. Terrific job by Marcus Washington, who is a physical specimen. And he gets the start at free safety, of course, as you mentioned earlier, because Rashidi Barnes' injury.
2nd down and 10. No gain on that play. Daniels rolling out. He's going to throw it, and overthrown blocker, the intended receiver. Ben Kelly back there on the coverage, so they continue to go after Ben Kelly, the sophomore from Cleveland, Ohio.
You know, the only thing I would consider if you're Oklahoma is you get Daniels on the corner, but some way get him in a situation where he has a better chance to run the football. That's what he does best. That's what he did early in the game. Sure, you're going to complete some. You're going to loosen up the defense, but this is a critical down with.
And a penalty marker goes down. 3 wide receivers for Oklahoma.
Substitution, infraction on the offense. 12 men breaking the huddle. 5-yard penalty.
So 12 men breaking the huddle. Joe Dickinson, the offensive coordinator for Oklahoma. They went to a 3 wide receiver set, Dean, for the first time today, and there were, as they broke the huddle, there were 12 men coming out of the huddle on the field.
Well, it works in Canada.
You know, I remember when the Kansas Jayhawks used it in an Orange Bowl years ago under Pepper Rogers, and they finally caught him. 9th penalty for Oklahoma. 3rd down and 15. That's Jackson in motion.
Could hurt in the field goal range.
And Daniels wants to run with it. And that doesn't show a whole lot right there on 3rd and 15. I don't know if that was a broken play, Dean, or he just decided to try to cross up everybody and run the ball.
No, my guess, it was a poorly executed and well defended quarterback draw. Well, I think it's a quarterback draw. Defensively, Colorado is not fooled at all, and Brandon Daniels didn't stay back too long, but that's just really good defense. Jayshon Sykes, 7, is a speedy guy. You're not going to get around him. And when you don't really have a realistic threat of throwing, although they throw fairly well.
And Colorado has taken this time out.
My question a moment ago, though, with Oklahoma was, are they hurting themselves in regards to field goal position? And we'll find out now. That is a setback for them.
Oklahoma came into this game averaging 9 penalties a game. They've already had 9 in the first half.
That is ugly.
Joe Dickinson is first year as offensive coordinator here at Oklahoma, and we had talked a little bit about the fact that in the spring they were practicing the wishbone offense, and coming into the season They were thinking about running it more of an option style, though, and the one thing that they had to do, that they wanted to do, was try to get the ball in the hands of Damon Parker more, and they simply couldn't do it from the offense that they were running.
No, if you're in the wishbone, defenses can dictate who they want to carry the football. And with Oklahoma, it was clearly Damon Parker, and so they took that option away from them. And when they went back and reviewed it, they said, no, we want to get the ball in his hands, so they had to change formations.
So on a 4th and 16, ball spotted at the 32-yard line, 42-yard attempt for Matt Reeves. He tied a career high on his last field goal at 37 yards. He's got plenty of distance, and it's wide to the right. So 35 seconds remain in the first half. And there was plenty of distance on this. Sills made a good hold. The wind coming out of the east right now and really moving that ball to the right. So,
well, the kicking woes continue for the team in crimson and cream.
Yeah, well, you know, they struggled against Cal. They missed an extra point. They missed a short field goal in that game, and
cost them the game.
Boy, it really came back to haunt them, didn't it? In that 13-12 loss to California, as Barnes has the football and driven back right at the 25-yard line.
He was tackled by Connor Joseph and Brandon Moore.
Kelly Gregg, always in the middle of things. Number 97, senior out of Edmond, Oklahoma. And don't you know it's been a struggle for him in his career here with the way things have gone.
Well, he's such a winner, such a great kid. He's one of those kids that'll always be a kid. You'll see him, hopefully we'll see him in a few years when he's a grown, much bigger grown man.
And Colorado just let the clock run out at halftime as the Buffaloes have a 14-9 halftime lead, and Valvoline 98 will be coming up as ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Norman, Oklahoma at Memorial Stadium, Owen Field, where Colorado has a 14-9 lead over Oklahoma at halftime. And our first half highlights. And it was a good first quarter for Oklahoma. Damon Parker with the pitch and into the end zone, 11 yards, but the high stepping drew the penalty. The 35-yard extra point was no good.
Bad call, I think.
But the defense team was strong.
Yeah, they played well and started off better than they finished. I think there were some nice adjustments. There's Romero on defense, but I think Colorado really adjusted well in the second quarter.
First time this year that Colorado hadn't scored in the first quarter, but in the second quarter they got it going. Shiverini with the reception from Machete for the touchdown.
He had 4 receptions in the first half and that touchdown.
And the long pass here to the redshirt freshman, his first collegiate catch, Dan Graham, and then the face mask penalty. And consequently, Colorado took a 14-9 lead. And at halftime here in Norman, Oklahoma, another big crowd. And you know, if nothing else, Joe Castiglione, the new athletic director here at OU, they've done a great job filling this place for their 3 home games so far.
Well, Joe has hit the ground running. I know his wife's not in town yet. They're still trying to get things worked out, selling homes and buying homes and all of that. But maybe he has more time to work because he's working around the clock. But he's done a nice job in getting started. And I know he had to really hustle, and his staff had to hustle to get the last couple of games sold out completely. But that's the one thing about these fans, Roger. It has been really tough in this area for winning football, yet these people show up. They're relentless in their support.
Parker back to return the kick. Mariscal to kick it. As we get set for the second half here on Homecoming Saturday in Norman, Oklahoma. And Damon Parker catches it on the run and stumbles across the 25 up to the 28-yard line. And time now, our Morgan Stanley Dean Witter first half statistics. And what jumps out at you there, Dean Blevins?
Well, get on down to the bottom. I mean, Oklahoma has more yards, but look at the penalties. 9 for 68 for the Sooners. And it's a pretty close game other than that. But that and the kicking game, Oklahoma's mixed an extra point, missed a field goal. They've had 2 high snaps where they almost had disaster on punts. Pretty even ball game. No turnovers either way, but the penalties for Oklahoma in the kicking game have killed them.
Brandon Daniels, the junior from Ada, Oklahoma. On 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line, Damon Parker gets the call. And Parker will get a couple across the 30 to the 31 where John Sanders comes up to make the stop. So Brandon Daniels was able to put the ball up in the air. And I think for him, for a young guy that has not thrown it very much, didn't do too bad, Dean.
No, he did for his caliber, for his potential. I think that you're right. There were some balls that for a pure passer, you just wouldn't throw those balls. But he does some things with his legs that other pure passers can't do.
Just a gain of 1 on that play, 2nd and 9. Jermaine Fazand is in the game at fullback as Daniel stays in the pocket and has it nearly picked off. The intended receiver was Ahmed Kaba, and John Sanders was back there on the coverage. And Dean, what about the perspective from Oklahoma's side?
Well, they were lucky that one wasn't intercepted, but offensively, did they complete enough passes to keep the defense honest? Well, they were 4 of 11, now 4 of 12, so you can't give them better than a C. Defensively, disrupt by putting the clock in Machete's head. At times they did that, but I thought Colorado really made some nice adjustments. They got him outside a little bit better, and so Oklahoma did at times and didn't at times, so C-.
3rd down and 9 for the Sooners.
I always wanted to grade because I always thought I got to.
You got graded, right?
Yeah, the tough scale.
On 3rd and 9, they try the right side. Penalty marker goes down as Parker has got the 1st down and more, but there's a flag down way back on the other side of the field at the 22-yard line.
Well, it's thrown in the direction that it is most likely an offensive penalty, and that's a killer for Oklahoma.
9 penalties in the first half for the Sooners. And oh man, they're going to bring it back. 10th penalty so far today for Oklahoma. That'll erase that great effort by Damon Parker.
Well, John Blake there, he's very frustrated. The trademarks of John's era so far are great effort, good recruiting, but also errors, just penalties and kicking game woes.
Illegal motion against Oklahoma, 5-yard penalty, so that'll make it now 3rd down and 13. Daniels will sprint it out to the near side. And now just tucks it under and runs out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. A loss of a couple. Hannibal Navies and John Sanders were both over there.
Well, Colorado is a very fast defense. The Oklahoma people don't feel they're as fast as California. They felt that California really ranked up there with some of the better defenses they've seen in terms of speed with the Kansas States and the Texas A&Ms and obviously Nebraska's. But Colorado's not going to allow you to do much around the corner.
Jeff Ferguson back at the 10-yard line to punt it on 4th down and 16. Hollowell to return it. And a short kick will bounce to Hollowell on the run. And Hollowell knocked out of bounds over the far side. Number 45 there for the Oklahoma Sooners was Rodney Rideau.
Well, the penalty not only kept Oklahoma's drive alive, but it gives Colorado the possession in terrific field position.
40 yards on the punt, 10 on the return for the Buffaloes of Colorado.
Hang time of 3 seconds on that. You like to see hang time of 4.
So Damon Parker had that big run called back. Catching his breath on the sideline, hoping the defense now can put the stop on the Buffaloes. 1st and 10, 46-yard line for Colorado. Barnes back in the game, shaking off the shoulder problem, and a gain of a couple on the left side as Ante Jones and Brandon Moore were there to make the stop. Well, Tuesday night after Spin City, another brand new episode of the show that the critics are calling the best new comedy of the year. From the writer of A Few Good Men, go behind the scenes to see where the real life happens on Sports Night, Tuesday, 9:30, 8:30 Central, right here on ABC. 2nd down and 9. Machete throwing to the far side and going up to grab it. Toller, and they'll spot it just across midfield at the 49-yard line where Mike Woods was over there to make the stop. But now, Dean, the perspective from Colorado.
Well, Rick Neuheisel's guys wanted to run for about 130 or 140 yards. They only gained 32, so can't give them more than a C, although running enough to open up passing certainly was what you saw in the first half. And they did limit Parker by stopping him before that second level for the most part. Got to give him about a B on that.
On 3rd down and 5, 49-yard line. Machete on the straight drop, nailed and fumbles. Kelly Gregg got it. William Barty came busting through from his corner spot and nailed Machete, and Gregg came up with a fumble. And for Kelly Gregg, his 3rd fumble recovery of the year.
Well, sooner or later, you're going to cause a turnover, and Rex Ryan's been disappointed he hasn't forced more turnovers defensively. Barty, the nickelback, comes in, blind side. No way Machete knows this is coming. Unblocked. Bad job of blitz pickup. That's only the 5th turnover that the Sooner defense has caused. They played really well defensively, but that's only the 5th, but what a critical one.
1st and 10, 45-yard line pitch back to Damon Parker. Parker leans forward as he gets to the 42-yard line before Marcus Washington finally brings him down along with Terrell Cade. Well, this was something that we talked to Rex Ryan about the other day, and he said, that's the way my defense is, that 46 defense. We attack, we try to create turnovers, and he said, I'm amazed we haven't done more of it so far.
Well, they sell out so much, they're going to get to the quarterback. They're going to give up some big plays, but they plan on causing some, and he doesn't want just punts most of the time. He wants turnovers. 3
sacks for Oklahoma today, and that's 21 on the year for that have been allowed by that offensive line of Colorado. And a little mix-up right there. It looked like Daniels wanted to pull the ball out, but Fasan wasn't going to let him take it away.
Well, Gumbo out of New Orleans, that's the nickname, and he clamps down on this. They're going to read that 3 technique, which is right above the left guard. He closes down. So the correct read on that is to pull, take it around the corner. That's the difference in a successful play and unsuccessful. Daniels was trying to do the right thing, but Fasan wasn't going to give it up.
Oklahoma 3 of 9 in 3rd down situations. They've got it 3rd and 7, and Daniels is going to throw it, and he's got his receiver. That's Gerald Williams, and Williams right by the marker. And let's see where they
spot here. Yeah. Really interesting spot.
Ben Kelly was over there on the coverage. And if they put it across the 30, and they did.
That's a hometown
That's a first
spot.
down.
That was close. I think it was a good call, but it could have gone. That's one of those homer calls. If you're up in Colorado, you probably don't get the spot right there, correct?
That's correct, you are. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Missouri a win today. A&M beat Kansas. 1st and 10, 35-yard line. Jackson in motion to the far side. And Parker will take it this way. Damon Parker. Now things are opening up, and another penalty marker goes down. Another penalty marker goes down. Notice 78, Stocker McDougal is in the game now, a 6'6", 363-pound junior. And the penalty against Oklahoma, their 11th of the day.
Well, that's absurd. It's inexcusable. There's Barty after the blitz and causing the fumble, and Oklahoma with the penalty here.
Well, the offensive coordinator, Joe Dickinson, and keep in mind, they've got Kempnick out, their starting left tackle, Carpenter, their starting left guard out, and now Stocker McDougal, the backup at right tackle, in there. So they've got a makeshift offensive line with the exception of Matt O'Neill and Jason Bronson.
Well, McDougal's a guy who's, as you mentioned, 370. He's going to get 15 or 20 plays. He doesn't understand it quite well enough yet, but these penalties are demoralizing, not to mention the losing continuity.
1st down and 21. Parker going right up the middle, and he's taking some pounding as he gets it inside the 45 to the 42-yard line. And it's been a mash unit here in Norman, Oklahoma today. Carpenter with a knee. That should be Kempnick, 72 for Oklahoma with a knee. And then Cormier. Navy's had an ankle, but he has come back into play. Also, Barnes had a shoulder, and he has returned.
Justin Bannon had He came into the game with a couple of bad wheels, a couple of bad ankles.
On 2nd and 18, Daniels will throw it near side and just through the hands of Blocker. So Blocker had a chance to catch it, and once again going after Ben Kelly.
I think that was the most surprising thing of the first half, and I know that would have shocked Colorado, that Oklahoma would first of all be throwing 11 balls in the first half, and that they would go after and have some success against Ben Kelly. Penalties continue to put them in a hole, though.
Well, Oklahoma only 31% this year on 3rd down, and on 3rd and 18, Daniels is trying to look downfield, and he is going to be dropped back at midfield. So Brandon Daniels had Jesse Warren, number 98, a junior out of Dallas, Texas, and a lot of the Buffaloes out of the University of Colorado all over in that time.
Warren's a guy who's rolled all afternoon. In fact, the Buffaloes roll all their front 4 down linemen, keeping all of them fresh, and Brandon Daniels pretty frustrated. But there you see Warren. He's a guy who's shuffled between defensive tackle and defensive end. Terrific speed, though, for a down guy. 4.7.
His 3rd sack on the year. And on 4th down, Jeff Ferguson to punt it. Boy, a booming kick that time into the end zone. And Colorado will have it at the 20-yard line with 9:04 left to go. 3rd quarter from Norman, and the Buffs lead the Sooners 14-9.
Now on pay-per-view, $500,000 in cash is up for grabs. Booyah. And it's anyone's game.
Here we go.
Rolling Stone magazine calls Jackie Brown a knockout. Pam Grier, Samuel L. Jackson, Robert Forster, Bridget Fonda, Michael Keaton, and Robert De Niro, Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown. Now on pay-per-view, rated R. Soundtrack available on a band apart Maverick Records.
Tomorrow night on Sunday Night Football, the Seattle Seahawks are at Arrowhead Stadium to face the Kansas City Chiefs. Sunday Night Football begins at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Then on Monday Night Football, it's an NFC Central showdown. The Minnesota Vikings take on the Green Bay Packers at historic Lambeau Field. It all starts at 8 Eastern, Monday Night Football on ABC.
Folks, we love the trend zone. Now listen to this. 2 of the top 4 defenses in the nation are Oklahoma and Colorado. But Colorado last in the Big 12 in rushing. Oklahoma last in the Big 12 in passing. Oklahoma 1-8 at home in Big 12 games. Okay, this is under John Blake, and then Colorado 4 straight wins in Norman. The trend zone.
No team's ever won 5 straight here.
Little play action by Machete, trying to find his guy Shiverini, and they're going to call it incomplete, although Mike Woods was trying to sell an interception.
Number 6, Aaron Shiverini. Defending for the Sooners, Mike Woods.
Well, Oklahoma does what they call trapping in the secondary, where they change some of their blitzes and they basically try to bluff everyone, and they end up trying to double team on the corners, and that's what they were in right there. They're looking for the pick, although the last turnover got them absolutely nothing. Punt it through the end zone and tee it back up for Colorado at the 20.
Big defensive series here right now for Oklahoma. Colorado leads at 14-9. Machete calling an audible at the line of scrimmage. 2nd down and 10. And boy, there's some confusion. Machete and Barnes collided in the backfield, and Machete down at the 15-yard line. You ever called one of those audibles, Dean, and nobody else got it but you?
Yeah, that's never any fun when you turn around and your guy's looking at you and he says, I don't want it. Yeah, you keep it. But you know what? I don't know if the crowd is a factor, because it has been. I know last week, a couple of weeks ago against Cal, it was a factor. It's loud down there. Also, Barnes hasn't played that much. Looked to be, though, just a total misunderstanding what the play was going to be.
3rd down and 14 as Chiaverini comes to the near side. Quick drop by Machete. He's going for Chiaverini. And incomplete. Corey Ivy over on the coverage, and I'll tell you, when in doubt, Machete is looking one way and one way only.
Yeah.
And that's the way of number 6, Darren Chiaverini.
You know, it's always fun to see how teams adjust after halftime. Phil Bennett's the new secondary coach at Oklahoma. Ivy got a talking to at halftime about his man coverage on Chiaverini. He listened. Phil Bennett's a guy who's been around a while. He's been the defensive coordinator in the past at places like LSU and Texas A&M, TCU. He knows football.
Peach standing at the 1-yard line on 4th down and 14. Jackson to return the punt down at his 35. That's a low end-over-end kick. And Jackson's going to have to let it go. And that'll come to rest at the 36-yard line. So 7:56 left to go in the 3rd quarter. Good defensive stand that time by the Sooners of Oklahoma. 48 yards on the punt. 14-9. We'll be back. Norman, Oklahoma, and Colorado with a 14-9 lead over the Sooners. 7:56 left to go, 3rd quarter. And Daniels will throw it downfield. He had his man wide open, his tight end, Jason Freeman, and he just overthrew him.
Well, you're right. He was open. Oklahoma's been using 2 tight ends most of the day, and that's a play where you bring the safeties down with you by play faking down the line, faking option. See Nebraska run that type of play so well, as Barty being stretched.
Check out some scores from around the country right now. On 2nd and 10. Breaking it to the outside is Parker. Can't elude the tackler over there, Marcus Washington, showing you why he is such a big-time player. Excuse me, make that Michael Lewis, number 31, who came over to make the stop. And Lewis now down at the 45-yard line.
Well, they are short at safety. Rashidi Barnes is out. You have Marcus Washington starting over there. It's free with him out. Sanders is playing and playing well, but Lewis is about the only other guy that they can put in there.
Lewis, a freshman out of Richmond, Texas. This Colorado team always recruits heavily out of California, but they really go to Texas to find a lot of players all through the years. And Rick Neuheisel, since he's been in Boulder, has continued to do that.
That looks like a possible cramp. I didn't set many records in my career, but I did set a record for cramps. I still have that going, too.
I thought the deal was you didn't have a muscle to pull. I thought that was it.
No, you get it from losing hydration and exertion, a lot of different things. And this is a steamy afternoon here, and it just seemed like he was walking with that cramped look. So good possibility Marcus Washington will return.
Another 3rd down situation for Oklahoma. 3rd and 9. They want to throw it. Daniels. Oh, goodness. Great play by Ben Kelly, because the man down there, Gerald Williams, looked like he had 6.
What a play by Ben
Now look at Kelly. Look at Kelly. He's cramped up.
Yeah, it's probably not a hamstring pull. Probably just a cramp. But boy, he plays great defense here. As an inside break, it looks as though Williams is open. Ball is thrown pretty well. That's just a terrific play by Kelly. And that's a cramp in the left hamstring.
Well, it's a good thing the defense is getting off the field, as on 4th and 9. Back at the 25-yard line, Ferguson to punt it. Nice kick right there. Hollowell giving chase over to the far side, but well, I'll tell you what, he's kicking it away from Hollowell, and maybe going too far up that sideline. Looks like he's got a lot of leg on the ball. Now they walk it all the way up to the 29-yard line. So what appeared to be a pretty good kick didn't turn out that well for number 83, Jeff Ferguson. 7 minutes left to go, third quarter from Norman. The second half, they've had 6 plays, -6 total yards, and a turnover as they've got it 1st and 10, 29-yard line. Both receivers split to the near side. Barnes, the deep back, will take the handoff, and he's brought down at the 30-yard line, giving chase and doing a good job there. Kelly Gregg, 97, and Brandon Moore, 46.
Oklahoma's defensive scheme is essentially an 8-man forcing unit. Brandon Moore, 46, a sophomore, is a guy who's very smart, loads of athleticism. He reads this one, really doesn't have much to fend off. He's a guy who's playing on about 90% of his capability with a bad ankle himself. There aren't many healthy guys out there, Raj. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Looking good.
2nd and 9 from the 30. On the sprint, Machete gets it over to the far side, and the catch made by Hollowell. Roman Hollowell. Well, Dean, I don't know if I've ever felt better at the stage of my life that I'm at, approaching a huge number. But you know what? I just wish I had that kind of hair. If I could have that kind of hair today. But you know what? I can still do the sideburns.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't do the hair, but I can do the sideburns.
We've got a play coming up. Look at those sideburns. Those were in vogue back then, guys. You can tell that was taken a few years ago.
Blevins, you were some kind of cooler.
I thought so.
3rd and 2, and Machete loses it again. The snap. That's the 3rd time today Johanningmeyer and Machete have not been able to get it together. And you just wonder, at a 6'7" center and a 5'11" quarterback, you know, most centers are in that 6'1", 6'2" range.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for bad exchanges. First of all, it's unacceptable, but there are lots of reasons. The quarterback pulling out, which it appeared he might have done. It looked like that ball was snapped correctly. But the biggest problem is when you rotate centers, that's going to happen. They had Giroud in earlier.
Well,
of course,
injuries.
he's out.
Injuries, and Johanningmeyer was moved over there in the last game against Baylor. I mean, he's played tackle for him.
Reed didn't work out. Johanningmeyer's a good center, good player.
Now Peach is going to throw it to nobody.
Whoa.
Did he make that up? And now a penalty marker. Another marker. And Neuheisel has just got this look on his face. Did everybody hear the play call?
Well, first of all, I've got to question the call. Rick's asked.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Penalties declined. Now watch what Peach is going to do here. He's looking to throw the whole way. And number 27 for Colorado over there, the closest man to the ball was Cortland Johnson, a backup running back.
That's poor execution. I've got to question why Colorado, up 14-9 with the ball on its 37-yard line, would do that, because Oklahoma could conceivably play and not score the rest of the afternoon if you pin them back.
Oklahoma with the football and going nowhere on the near side. Parker can't find any running room, a loss of about 1 on the play.
I mean, I'm a Rick Neuheisel fan. I love wide open football, but I really question that. And it's not just because it didn't work. I've seen that play work for the Buffaloes. In fact, they ran a fake kick against Oklahoma State a few years ago in McCartney's final years that ended up winning the game for them in Stillwater, in a game that looked like they were going to lose.
You wouldn't think that a receiver and a punter maybe would go over and sort of make their own plan up and not tell anybody else.
No, I think what Rick was saying right there is, why didn't he call it off?
Yeah.
You check the defense. If it's not there, you call it off.
On 2nd and 10, Parker right up the middle, and every yard has been a tough yard for him today as he gets a couple. Justin Bannon, 97, and Terrell Cade, number 48. We're there to make the stop. So Oklahoma now trying to get something done offensively and not having much success. Face a 3rd down and 8 with just over 4 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. They've missed a field goal. They missed an extra point from 35 yards out after their first touchdown. And Daniels is scrambling. And he will not get the first down as he goes to the 31-yard line. And next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on ABC Sports, we've got regional college football action for you. Notre Dame will go against Arizona State, and a couple of Big 12 possibilities could come your way. It could be Nebraska at Texas A&M or Kansas State and Colorado, Penn State and Minnesota, Georgia Tech, North Carolina State. Check your local listings for the game in your area and call your cable or satellite company for games available on pay-per-view.
Well, it's a 49-yard attempt. Some of the fans wanting to go for it, probably wise, just to try to take the points.
On 4th and 5, Ferguson had plenty of leg on the last one, missed it to the right. That one's good. Whoa! Ferguson, whose longest before had been 40, knocks one in from 49 yards out. That had a little heat on it that time.
That's great execution from a special teams that has not performed well today. You like to get those kicks off in about 1.2 seconds. Oklahoma got that one off by our stopwatch in a little under that, 1.1. And the kick was wonderful as well.
And while we've got a moment, let's go to New York and John Saunders. John?
And Roger, the Burger King play of the day. Take a look at Cade McNown giving up his body for the Bruins. Looking to pass, decides to run it, dives and gets it across for the touchdown, 35-10. The Bruins are coasting right now. Roger.
All right, John. Thank you very much. As Colorado now with just a 2-point lead, 14-12, and you know, Oklahoma will switch their field goal kickers around depending on the distance, team.
Yeah, they will. They've got a couple of guys they kick with, and they've got Jeff Ferguson that they usually let him go with the long kicks, and Matt Reeves is a junior college player that John Blake says has no nerve, so they go with him. But Jeff Ferguson's been battling some mononucleosis and really struggled a couple of weeks ago on the California loss.
So Ferguson, 83, will kick it off. Reeves hit a 37-yarder early, missed from 42, but Ferguson comes in from the 49-yarder. And now look at this formation here for Oklahoma. That's interesting. Fair catch called at the 30-yard line. Dean.
Oklahoma does that as a bloop kick. Sometimes teams aren't aware of it, and that ball will actually land, and the Sooners can recover it. Worst case scenario, you give it to them on the 30-yard line. It's really not a bad play.
But, you know, a real thrill for Chan Moody, number 69. Big old lineman. Got to field a kick.
Nice job. Good hands.
Well, at the conclusion of today's game, we'll select the Chevrolet most valuable player of the game from each team. In recognition of these athletes, Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund. 3:16 to go third quarter, 1st and 10, 30-yard line. Both receivers split to the top. Barnes cuts it back, and Barnes gets to the 35-yard line. Gain of about 5 on the play as Kelly Gregg was there to make the tackle.
I guarantee you what's happening on that Colorado sideline when the offense came over after the failed fake punt. Carl Durrell and Rick Neuheisel are telling their team, guys, all we have to do is stick it in the end zone. 7 more points will do it, regardless of what Oklahoma does on this drive. And I would tend to agree with them. 21 is a pretty good number for Colorado right now if they can get there.
On 2nd and 5. Handoff. Barnes, room to run. To the 40, close to the first down. Corey Ivy made the nice ankle-saving tackle as Barnes, the senior from Memphis, Tennessee, who's been battling a sprained right foot this year, looked like he might have had some room to run.
Well, this guy has all the tools. A 38-inch vertical. He's another one of those guys standing long jump. He goes almost 10 feet. They say 4.2 in the 40. I mean, that is bullet Bob Hayes fast, but that tells you he can fly.
3rd and 1. Barnes tackled behind the line of scrimmage by Kelly Gregg. That's why he's going to play on Sunday at 5'11" and 290. So quick.
Well, he gets off blocks about as well as any player I've ever seen at Oklahoma. He sheds his blocker here, and he not only gets the play done, but he does it in a time in the game that Oklahoma really needs to capitalize on some momentum. Colorado wanted to grind out some first clocks, get into that fourth quarter.
Now Peach standing inside his 25 to punt it. Jackson back inside his own 20. Low snap.
He's going to kick this one.
And he kind of dropped the ball. Funny. Jackson takes it and doesn't go anywhere. At the 27-yard line, brought down by Damian Barton. So this Oklahoma defense continues to make plays, and they've been very impressive so far today. They've lived up to their billing as the second best defense in the country.
Against a good Colorado offense. Now, Colorado is struggling with injuries and continuity on the front line, and they've got some problems. Machete is still hot and cold, but this is a talented Colorado club.
On 1st and 10, trying the right side. Big Gumbo. Jermaine Fasson as Hannibal Navies handles Fasson.
You know, defenses at this point in the game, they say, okay, the game's in our hands, guys. We look up on the board. We're 2 points up. We're almost to the fourth quarter. We've got the lead. All we have to do, A.J. Kristoff right there tells his guys, don't let them score. It's right where we want it.
Second down and 9. Daniels throwing. Jackson, the intended receiver, well defended. Over on the far side, number 25 there for the Buffaloes, Nate Wright, the redshirt freshman out of San Diego.
Man, I tell you, there are some balls that are coming off the hand of that guy right there that are, if they're completed, they're going to be about 8-yard balls, 8-yard catches. If not, those things are high risk and can go the other way for 6.
Dean, what do you think? Are the toughest passes the one you've got to throw across the field? I mean, would it be easier to throw some just short slants?
I don't think there's any doubt those balls are much harder to throw than the slants, the hitches, and the shorter stuff.
On 3rd down and 9, Freeman, the tight end, was in motion. They try to just put it right up the middle, and Big Gumbo can't find anything.
Fans will boo, and there you go. You can hear them. Now, that is a play that, if it's read correctly and blocked correctly, the fullback busts up the middle for 15 yards, and you say, man, those guys are smart. Defensively, it's a nice job. Defense wins out in execution that time.
Fred Jones was the man that made the tackle on Fasson. And Jeff Ferguson will let the clock expire as we've completed 3 quarters of play in Norman. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Oklahoma, and fumbled by Hollowell, and he falls on it at the 30-yard line. Luttrell was right there on him, but Hollowell able to get it back, and so Colorado, who struggled offensively in the 3rd quarter, they had 4 possessions. They ran 13 plays for 10 yards. They had a turnover, and then that the punter, you know, threw that pass. And there's Rex Ryan, his first year as defensive coordinator here. Boy, is he proud to be a coach at this university.
Yeah, he is. You know, he played ball here at the state at East Central, at Southeastern. Happy to be back here.
Of course, son of Buddy Ryan.
Buddy Ryan.
His brother Rob's the defensive coach over at Oklahoma State. 1st and 10, 30-yard line. Machete got a man wide open down the middle. That's Ashworth, his tight end. So the first reception by the big tight end Tom Ashworth, a converted offensive tackle.
We've seen a game of cat and mouse. Early, Oklahoma defensively was dominating Colorado. They made some good adjustments offensively. They came back and had a solid 2nd quarter. Rex Ryan goes in, makes good adjustments, and Oklahoma has a good 3rd quarter. Now Rick Neuheisel and Carl Durrell talk it over, and I think you're going to see them have some success offensively.
Both receivers split to the top of your screen. 1st and 10, 43-yard line. Machete on the play action will roll near side. Gets one block from Spivey. I mean, that was a devastating block by Spivey. And Machete, who is very athletic. We talked about the fact that he played minor league baseball, 3 years in the Oakland A's organization. First of all, let's take a look at this last play, Dean.
Well, it's a boot, and he goes out the right side, and this Spivey gets his man right there, and Rocky Bright says, I thought you might be there.
I was going to mention that Machete was signed to the Oakland organization by Ron Vaughn, the same man that signed Mark McGuire. On 2nd and 6, the pitch back to Barnes. Barnes with some room, and he gets a first down, brought down by Brandon Moore. But enough for the first down, and Spivey once again doing the job blocking, and that's primarily what that fullback does in this offensive scheme of Rick Neuheisel and Carl Durrell's. And how the Buffs done against unranked teams, which of course Oklahoma is unranked, 44-1-2 in their last 47 games and 28 straight road wins.
Now that's an all-time statistic right there.
Pretty impressive.
That is really impressive.
Well, you know, last year, Dean, at 5 and 6, they played 7 bowl teams.
Yeah,
and some would say it was the toughest schedule in the country. 1st and 10, 47-yard line. On the play action, Machete hit just as he throws it. Oh, Machete was drilled that time by Kelly Gregg, and the pass falls incomplete. That will get your attention right here.
Well, Kelly Gregg beats his man once again, and the blitz philosophy is that we're going to bring everyone sometimes, and someone's going to get there. That time it was Kelly Gregg, and remember we talked earlier that Oklahoma is trying to hit the quarterback every play. And one of the concerns for Rick Neuheisel early in the week was, hey, my guy's not finishing every game. Right now, Machete needs to stay in here and finish this one.
3 wideouts are in the game now as John Minardi, a freshman from Laguna Niguel, California, has checked into the game. That was Cheverini in motion, and Machete is going to take it and run with it. He's close to the first down. Let's see where they spot it. Brandon Moore was there to bring him down, but Machete with some very good athletic ability can run the football as they'll spot it at the 38-yard line, and it'll be just shy of the first down. So I think now, Dean, you're in 4-down territory in this part of the field at 3rd and 1.
Boy, it's a great block on the last play. 71 on the left part of your screen. The right tackle is Victor Rogers. He takes up Cornelius Burton, blocks him out, creates a seam, and that's nice yardage to bring up 3rd and short.
Colorado 3 of 11 on 3rd down today. And they fake the pitch. They're going to throw it, and the catch made by the tight end Ashworth, and they've got the first down. Ghana Joseph makes the tackle, but you like that call on 3rd and short.
Well, again, it goes back to the cat and mouse. We're seeing some great adjustments from these coaches upstairs and some great execution on the field. Machete has good numbers, but that's a big conversion right there. They knew what Oklahoma would do defensively there, and they knew all they had to do to move the chains is throw it from about 10 yards.
1st and 10, 32-yard line. Rick Neuheisel says we might be an exposed 4-0. I'd like to be an exposed 5-0. As Barnes with some room. Barnes has got the first down as Terry White has to come over and make the tackle. And now Colorado starting to run the football, something they have struggled with all year.
Well, that left side of the offensive line, boy, that has Rex Ryan livid on the Oklahoma sideline. But Shane Cook is a dandy. He is really a fine player. 72 White, a 300-pound junior. Badel's nice too, and Johanningmeyer always is good. These backs are quick enough. If they get a seam, it is almost Katie bar the door.
Barnes 19 carries, 67 yards, trying to get to the outside, eludes one tackler. And Barnes down to the 13-yard line. Dale Allen and Ghana Joseph both over there to make the stop.
It's really important for Oklahoma to stop Colorado and keep them out of the end zone. 3 points is one thing. That puts you 5 points down. Colorado would be ahead 17-12 with a tray. Ghana Joseph out. Oklahoma fans don't like seeing that, but giving up 7 really puts your offense in a jam.
2nd down and 3. Pitch back, and beautiful play by Kelly Gregg one more time as he brings Barnes down at the 15-yard line. Man, can that guy play football?
Well, his motor just continues to go. He does not know when to stop.
Look at him staring up at the scoreboard, watching the replay. Liked it.
They say he has real good eyes. We saw his eyes watching the scoreboard that time, but they're talking about being able to see through things down on the field. what do you call him? A burrowing animal?
Burrowing animal.
Well, he and his mate there, Jeremy Wilson-Guest, he's not much taller.
3rd down and 5. Chiaverini and Toller split to the top of the screen. At the 15-yard line, penalty marker goes down, and they might have been late getting that play off. Might have been late.
To reiterate, Rick Neuheisel knows how important it is to get 7 points right here. 21-12 means a lot to his club right now.
False start called on Colorado, their first penalty since the first quarter. So while Oklahoma was racking up all those penalties, Colorado had at least not been making penalties, some mental mistakes made. Now 3rd down and 10. Chiaverini in motion. Now 3 receivers over to the far side of the field on the play action. They hit number 5, Hollowell. Penalty marker goes down. He's into the end zone. Touchdown. Roman Hollowell. And it looked like a face mask as he was running through, and then another marker goes down in the end zone.
Could have celebration in the end zone, and I'm with you. I was thinking it was face mask at the 15-yard line.
Hollowell, just a 5'6", 160-pound redshirt freshman out of Denver, who'd only caught 1 pass in his college career coming into the day, but with the injuries to Cormier and then of course Stiggers not playing, he's been playing a huge role today.
Incidental face mask on a defense. Decline.
Big touchdown right there.
So Machete with his 3rd touchdown pass of the day.
Colorado with a little slip screen underneath. The little guy, you just got to keep that one down low. You see the inadvertent face mask by Oklahoma, not enough to slow down Colorado. There's a great shot of it, but even the face mask.
So Machete has now thrown 9 touchdown passes this season.
You know, I thought at the beginning of that drive that they had organized themselves. I saw we got a good look at Machete and Neuheisel on the sideline. I felt like they had made good adjustments, and sure enough, they came down and really executed. Now it put Oklahoma really in a jam.
And the penalty moves the ball back to the 25, and the extra points missed by Jeremy Aldridge.
8-point game.
So the little guy who's getting a big part of this game today, Roman Hollowell, the redshirt freshman from Denver, hauls in the touchdown pass from Machete, and Colorado leads it by 8. His team has taken an 8-point lead, 20-12, but the celebration in the end zone after the touchdown pass to Hollowell, and then with the ball moved back to the 25, the 35-yard extra point attempt missed, as the kickoff comes down, and doing a nice job getting the ball across the 30-yard line. There's Michael Thornton. But so each team has now had a celebration penalty after a touchdown, and they both missed the what turned out to be 35-yard extra point attempt.
Well, he is so upset he can't stand it. He's got his guy who scored the touchdown. He says, don't do that. Rick worked so hard to have more discipline in the program and to change his act. I mean, he talked to the coaches about what he needed to do, what they needed to do. They said more accountability.
I think every coach tells a player, hey, look, when you get in the end zone, act like you've been there before. Patrick Fletcher in the game at quarterback now for the Sooners of Oklahoma, the walk-on from right here in Norman, who was a huge surprise, Dean, earlier this year, came in and led them to a victory.
Well, he did in the first ball game when Brandon Daniels went down with an injury, and Gerard Reese, then the #2 quarterback, who has been permanently suspended, was the official ruling yesterday from this club. He was ineligible for the first game, and so Fletcher came in and had a terrific first game outing, and the fans labeled him a favorite from the start.
So Patrick Fletcher, 5'10", 165-pounder from Norman, looking to go downfield, and pass incomplete. Well defended over there on the near side by Damon Wheeler as they were trying to find the tight end Jason Freeman.
Yeah, that was really good coverage right there. Good execution by Fletcher. He had the ball on the money, but that was really good. It was close.
Fletcher came into that game with North Texas, scored a couple of rushing touchdowns, and led Oklahoma to a 37-9 victory. He is not on scholarship.
Not on scholarship, but that's just the way the numbers are working out. He should be on scholarship after this semester.
3rd down and 7 for Oklahoma. They need to get something going here offensively to get back in this football game. And it's picked. Picked by Washington. Marcus Washington, touchdown.
Intercepted by defensive end Marcus Washington. Return for the Colorado touchdown.
On a 3rd down and 7, Fletcher in his first series comes in and throws the interception, and Washington takes it in for the TD.
Well, Fletcher doesn't see him. The free safety, you always have to know as a quarterback where the free safety is. Get your eyes to 37, middle of the field. Right there he is. He had no idea where Marcus Washington was, and that's a fatal mistake.
And Jeremy Aldrich will come in to attempt the point after. This one's good, and the Sooners are in a heap of trouble with 10-17 left to go here in Norman. Colorado has taken a 27-12 lead. Norman Patrick Fletcher, he throws the interception. Marcus Washington takes it back 40 yards for the touchdown. Washington, the all-time leader in pass deflections at Colorado, and John Blake now with a big decision to make. 27-12. You've already replaced your starting quarterback. You hope your defense can hold it again, but what do you do the next time you get the ball?
I don't know. There's no easy answer. Yeah, we'll know the answer here in about 30 seconds.
Aldrich kicks it downfield. Michael Thornton. Look at Thornton. Thornton all the way across the 45 to the 47-yard line. And ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. Microsoft, where do you want to go today? Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping people live safer, more secure lives. That's the freedom of liberty. And Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. 41 yards on the return by number 41.
It's first and 10 Oklahoma from the 48.
Thornton with that great return to give Oklahoma.
Not a good start for Oklahoma. Confusion, having to waste a timeout. You know, Oklahoma, if you would have told me that Oklahoma would be in the 4th game of the year and Patrick Fletcher taking nothing away from him, but he would be starting in this offense, I'd say you're crazy, because last spring it was the wishbone offense. Brandon Daniels with Gerard Reese at the backup. A lot of indecisiveness.
10:05 left to go here in Norman, and Colorado's got a 27-12 lead over Oklahoma. And the handoff to Parker as he gets across midfield to the 49-yard line. Colorado with 2 touchdowns in 58 seconds of the 4th quarter. The touchdown pass to Hollowell, and then the interception return by Marcus Washington. And remember, Oklahoma had not allowed a touchdown in the second half this year. And of course, one by the Colorado offense, and then the pick by the CU defense.
Well, there's Brandon Daniels in the background there, and what you have is, in Oklahoma, you have a team continuing to kill itself with the penalties in the kicking game, and you certainly can't allow a team to score 2 quick ones when you have those problems.
2nd down and 7. And they'll run it right up the middle again. That's Damon Parker. Look at him drive. Parker's got one man to beat. Damon Parker. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Ahmed Kaba got the block that he needed to take it in.
That's the unique thing about Oklahoma with a guy like Damon Parker. He single-handedly has come back in Texas games and given Oklahoma chances to win. A couple of years ago he did that. You would think pass, 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 and Colorado's thinking nickel defense, although it's with a linebacker. He jukes one man, runs through another tackle, and then he is off to the races.
And then Kaba.
Good job by Kaba. And watch this. He will waste no energy, and he will also have no celebration after the touchdown.
49 yards on the touchdown run by Damon Parker. And Oklahoma is going to go for 2. Daniels is in there.
Haven't run option. I would expect one.
27-18. Daniels will pitch it back, and they lose it. Ball still on the ground, and Colorado can't advance it any farther.
Well, now that is really one that hurts you, because Oklahoma is now 9 down. Touchdown doesn't do any good. That is very sloppy execution from Oklahoma. An extra point gets you to 19, where you can tie with the next one. This play has 0 chance. Option.
Thornton is in there.
Poor play on the perimeter once again. Oklahoma's been confused all season on the perimeter.
And
to run option, Roger, you have to play. It's repetition, down after down after down after down in spring. Here's the touchdown the previous moment, and this had the Oklahoma faithful excited as Damon Parker does what few backs can do.
He's
Gets
now
the Sooners back in it.
24 carries, Dean, 129 yards. That is his 13th 100-yard game of his career, and he now moves into 6th place on the Oklahoma rushing list with 2,724 yards, passing Jamel Holloway.
A lot of difference between 20 to 27 or 19 to 27, right. But still great run by Parker.
And Daniels did a nice job to get the Colorado player and bring him down, so they couldn't advance that ball any further.
That's one of the things they teach is tackling drills, huh?
Well, 9:16, a lot of time left to go.
Damon Parker has been frustrated this year and hasn't had a ton of opportunities to do what he just did there. See if they go with the bloop again. Yep.
Yeah, that short kick by Ferguson. But down inside the 20, and look at this. Number 2 taking it for Colorado. Damon Wheeler. And it backfired on him. Now a penalty flag. I still don't know, Dean, if I understand why they're doing that. They didn't seem to be having any trouble kicking it deep earlier.
Well, you're into about a 20-mile and 15-mile-an-hour wind. You being a golfer, you'll know the importance of that.
On Oklahoma.
And I think that ball was kicked deeper than they would like. They would prefer a fair catch or kick it to a spot where there is no one. If they're not paying attention, the ball lands. You have to tackle people, though. I don't care how far you kick it. You have to tackle people.
42 yards on the return.
Another kicking game mistake by Oklahoma. That is one thing that has been a problem at this school for a long time, including John Blake's last 3 years here. Kicking game and penalties.
1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. Barnes will take it. Barnes has got room. Barnes now showing a little stuff here, and a penalty flag back at the 30-yard line. Terry White runs him out of bounds, but for Marlon Barnes, who has got outstanding speed. I mean, the holding's going to be against Colorado. Barnes is a legitimate 4.2, 4.3 guy, but he's had this foot sprain, which has really slowed him down.
Holding. On the offense. 10-yard penalty. On the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
Well, it'll be important for Oklahoma to stay in this game, to stay alert. I've seen Oklahoma against Colorado in a few years past where they have not done that and games have gotten away. I think this is a different bunch. Rex Ryan tells us that they play hard every game. We'll see right now, because quite frankly, they're busting some runs off that are indicative of a team not playing as hard as they could. We'll see if they can stop Colorado.
1st and 12, 41-yard line. Ante Jones trying to blitz that time, and boy, they threw it to the near side, and Spivey was wide open and couldn't bring it in. Well, Sunday night at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN, it's Sunday Night Football, an AFC West showdown between the Seattle Seahawks and the Kansas City Chiefs, both teams at 3-1. And then Monday night on ABC Sports, it's Monday Night Football live at its new time, 8 Eastern, a couple of unbeatens. Minnesota, Green Bay. Don't want to miss it. Sunday night, Monday night, NFL action on ESPN and ABC. On 2nd and 12, Barnes finds some room, gets it to the outside. Barnes being chased down from behind and pulled out of bounds by Terry White inside the 10 down to the 7.
Cheverini with a nice block on that, and Barnes is not tiring. It was interesting to see him come back last week. I say he's not tiring, and he's hitting his helmet saying I want to come out, but he was not tired before that. I mentioned Cheverini. Let's take a look at the wide receiver. Young wide receivers, you have to block to play football, and there's a great example of being physical. Cheverini, a 6 foot, 210-pounder.
You know, his uncle Tony was a middleweight contender.
That's right.
Yeah.
Contender.
Lost to Sugar Ray Leonard. Barnes now over 100 yards, 113 yards on 23 carries. 1st and goal from the 7. And stumbling down inside the 5 is number 10, Dwayne Charrington.
Stumbling, bumbling, but not fumbling. They're holding on to the ball well. No turnovers in the first half. A couple here in the second.
Charrington had some ankle problems, suffered an ankle injury against Utah State. But he's done a pretty solid job backing up Barnes.
Good 1-2 punch.
(27-18) with 8:14 left to go. 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line. Cheverini in motion. And boy, Machete gets rid of it and hit the ground, it looked like. What are they going to call it? They're going to call it a pick. Corey Ivy. Boy, I'll tell you what, he made a great shoestring catch because in desperation, Machete threw it because Ante Jones was all over him.
Well, that's a mistake you cannot make right there. If you're Colorado, you've got a 9-point lead with 8 minutes to go. You're looking to ice this game. If it's not there, throw it away, and Rick Neuheisel will have a word with his quarterback. In years past, Rick has been really hard on guys like that. I sense he's giving him encouragement right there. Telling him about the mistake. Teaching instead of scolding. He's got to go back in and perform.
Fletcher in there at quarterback for Oklahoma. 8 minutes left to go. Trying to bounce around. Luttrell gets a couple of yards. Ian Loper is over there to make the tackle. Well, I'll tell you, Dean, it looked like it hit the ground.
Well, Machete had pressure. Well, that does look like it hit the ground. From that angle, it sure did.
Hey, but if you get the call, you get the call.
Yeah, you get the call. And Mike, right there, he knows he shouldn't have thrown it there. He did get the pressure. I believe he got it from Cornelius Burton.
2nd down and 8. Player coming off the field right now for Oklahoma. Jackson in motion. Fletcher to throw from his own end zone. He's throwing down for Jackson. Can't run underneath of it.
Well, he can run underneath it, but it's about 8 yards out of bounds.
Wheeler was on the coverage.
You know, I know what Patrick Fletcher's thinking right now. Hey, I just had a pick. You know, sure, I want to complete this ball, but I'm not going to throw another interception. And that's what the natural thought process is, but you can't do that. You've got to go try to win the game right now, and he's a gutty, gritty kid. I'm sure he'll come back, but I guarantee you that was going through his head.
If time permits, stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental Postgame Report featuring scores and highlights from across the country. John Saunders, Todd Blackledge in our New York studios. 3rd down and 8. Oklahoma 4 of 15 in 3rd down situations. Fletcher with all day to throw from his own end zone, but he's got to make a decision. He gets it. Makes a completion. Out across the 15 to the 17-yard line. Chris Blocker. And that's a 1st down for Oklahoma. Ben Kelly was there. And I'll tell you, the kid had all day to throw the ball, and when the pressure came, he finally got rid of it.
Well, you can count on one finger the number of times Oklahoma has had a quarterback in the 3rd and long in this situation drop back on play action with great protection and complete a pass like that. One finger, not one hand.
First completion for Fletcher. As Parker gets it across the 20 to the 22-yard line. Now the clock is a factor here. 6:45 left to go, and Oklahoma has 2 timeouts.
So the Sooner offensive coaches and John Blake are thinking you get a soft defense, although Colorado's not playing that soft. Typically you would get a soft playing defense that would open up some creases. They would give you underneath passing and then give you the running game. With DeMond Parker, you know, you don't have that luxury as a defensive coordinator.
2nd down and 7. Fletcher's going to roll out this time. He wants to throw deep. Jackson's got it. Still going. They said he stepped out of bounds. Out of bounds at the 38-yard line. Fletcher just threw it down, and a great adjustment by Jarrell Jackson to come and get it.
You talk about the confidence coming back to the quarterback. I showed you earlier him throwing it out of bounds. I'll tell you, the terrific play by Fletcher by the completion gives him the guts to throw this one down one-on-one, and his man comes up with it. Once again, Kelly, a terrific cover man, is beaten by Jamel Jackson.
42 yards on the completion. 1st and 10, 38-yard line, 6:11 left to go. Oklahoma trails at 27-18. Parker trying to bust it to the outside. Beautiful job. Nick Ziegler, 57. Defensive end, 6'5", 245, a senior. Was right there, read it, and made the play.
Oklahoma has to be very aware of the clock right now. 5:50 and counting, 2 timeouts remaining. You want to run the football because that's a great threat for you in Damon Parker. But how much can you run the ball right now? Colorado looking for a stop. They get the ball back and the game is over.
And John Blake has to feel the pressure. His team's 2-1, coming off a bye week, playing a ranked team at home. Big crowd on homecoming Saturday. Pressure on Fletcher, eludes it initially, and Fletcher trying to make a play inside the 35 to the 34, gain of a couple. John Sanders brought him down.
Fletcher's a scrappy guy. He is small, though. He comes down with arm tackles more easily than a Brandon Daniels and a lot of the other players. He's a 5'9", 165-yard player, but quarterback, but he is a very scrappy guy.
10th tackle for John Sanders, the sophomore from Phoenix, Arizona, playing with a soft cast on his left hand. Had surgery Monday. Insert a pin into some broken bones. 3rd down and 6. Fletcher, the pressure, can't elude it. Dropped from behind at the 35-yard line by Fred Jones, and now Oklahoma is going to be faced with a 4th down.
2 thoughts. Oklahoma really missing Scott Kempnick and Adam Carpenter up in that front line, having to go with backup players or players who are now tired. And Colorado, I really like what A.J. Kristoff is doing here. What he's doing, Roger, is sticking with his base defense. They're just saying, hey, we've got to respect your run and your pass. We're going to stick with what we normally do and not be soft.
Oklahoma's taking their 2nd timeout. 4:43 left to go from Norman. Oklahoma on a 4th down and 7, trailing 27-18, will try a 53-yard field goal. Jeff Ferguson hit his career high earlier in this game of 49. The wind is basically across and into him. Has it got enough? No good. I'll tell you, it looked like he had enough leg there, but wide. And Dean, your thoughts on kicking the field goal there or going for it on 4th down?
Well, I think it's 50-50. We talked during the break about whether you go for 4th down on a 4th and what was it, 7?
Yep.
Your odds of converting at this point in the game are probably somewhere around 35%. I mean, I'm just throwing out a number that that's what I feel the game as being. Him kicking that field goal. We'll watch the hold by Sills is good. His odds are probably about the same, maybe just a tad higher, and maybe that's why they go with the kick.
Sills is the holder. And does he get the laces turned?
No, I don't think he got the laces turned. I think it was pushed a little wide anyway.
Well, this is going to be grinded out time right now for Colorado. On the 1st down, they run Barnes right up the middle, maybe a yard. Clock running, 4:25 to go. Oklahoma with just 1 timeout remaining. So Colorado looking to move to 5-0 on the young season.
And as Rick is saying, wind the clock and run the clock right now, you mentioned it will be an exposed 5-0. Would you explain that, by the way?
Well, I can't explain it. I mean, I think he said that maybe we're not as good as 4-0 or 5-0, but I would rather be there than anywhere else.
Well, and he's been tested in different ways by different teams.
And they've had a lot of injuries this year.
Right.
2nd and 10, no pickup on that last play as Barnes will get it again, and Barnes breaks a tackle. And Barnes is pulled down at the 45-yard line, and the ball is down there. No fumble. So Barnes showing some quickness as he caught a seam. And Marlon Barnes has gotten this Colorado running game untracked here today in Norman.
Well, one thing about this defense, when you stack the line so much, if a player busts through the line scrimmage, he's going to have a chance to go the distance, and that's what you've seen so many times here in the second half.
21 yards on the pickup.
Oklahoma's hoping for a fumble call here. Let's see where the knee is. That's a fumble. That's a bad call.
That is a bad call.
And Oklahoma nonchalantly went after the football. They didn't go pound on the ball.
1st and 10, 45-yard line. 3:29 left to go. Charrington the spin. Kelly Gregg is there to make the tackle. Barnes 25 carries, 134 yards.
Let's go back to that, because if this is a turnover at this time of the game, who knows what happens. But I know Rick Neuheisel couldn't be happy with it. There's White trying to strip the football out. Fumble before you're down.
Barnes in his career, 189 career touches, just 1 fumble. Charrington 1 fumble and 154 career touches, so they take care of the football awfully well.
1 with an asterisk.
Yes. Well, maybe it's a make good on the interception down at the other end, huh?
Yeah.
2nd and 9. Ball carry there by number 27, Cortland Johnson.
I wouldn't want to officiate, but I sure see some questionable calls.
And Oklahoma wants a timeout. 2:36 left to go here in Norman, Oklahoma. Colorado with the ball and with the lead, 27-18. They're 15th ranked in the nation, looking to go to 5-0. Here you could say Bud to studs to duds. Under Bud Wilkinson, 47-63. They won 83%. Fairbanks and Switzer, 81% since 95, 38%.
Well, the numbers are the numbers, but I would think that the kids out there on this field today certainly wouldn't think that duds is appropriate, because they've given great effort. But you're right, it has been a real tough period, and there have been teams that get in this situation and have not competed. And this is a bunch, I think, that anyone watching at home, and you here, Roger, you know they're getting after it. But hand it to Colorado. This is a nice club. Rick Neuheisel has to be feeling better about his bunch as they stay undefeated.
Oklahoma with no timeouts left, clock running, 2:15 left to go. And the thing I think that concerns you today, I mean, there was a really solid effort defensively. I think they came out and they had a little bit of success trying to throw a football with a kid that really is not a thrower. I mean, that is not his game. And they were in this thing. And then a couple of touchdowns 58 seconds apart in the 4th quarter. The touchdown pass to Hollowell, and then the interception pick. And it was Colorado. But the fact of the matter is it just doesn't get easy in the Big 12 Conference, because Oklahoma will have Texas next week, and then on the road at Missouri and at Oklahoma State. Meanwhile, Colorado will go home to play Kansas State, who's had a week off to prepare for them. Colorado taking the timeout with 1:49 left to go, as in the post-Switzer era here at Oklahoma, there have been 3 head coaches: Gary Gibbs, Howard Schnellenberger, and of course John Blake. 6 offensive coordinators and 5 defensive coordinators, and it's tough to get on the same page.
Well, it really is. Gary Gibbs, now they're singing his praises around here after riding him really hard. Howard Schnellenberger was won him back to Miami. And John Blake in his 3rd season, people are looking for progress. There has been progress made in some areas, and some areas there hasn't been. So this season will play itself out and take care of John Blake's future more than likely. There are a lot of toss-up games still out there remaining. And coming into this one, Roger, if you'll remember, he said, the questions I have, can my young team not make mistakes? We cannot make any mistakes in the special teams area, and that was a killer for them today.
Peach gets off the punt, and Jackson pushed out of bounds at the 30-yard line.
Jackson returned for the Sooners up over the 30-yard line. He's knocked out of bounds by Terrell Cade.
So Oklahoma with 1:41 left to go. And Fletcher back in there, no timeouts remaining.
Quarterback controversy is a brewing around here. Brandon Daniels played better today, didn't have much success with the option, and that's why he is quarterbacking this club. And so now Oklahoma will try to determine what its identity will be and who its quarterback will be for that.
Parker still on his feet. Look at Damone Parker. Cuts it back. and finally tripped up at the 20-yard line. Clock will stop on the first down.
Demond Parker plays as hard as any player I have ever seen. He has asthma problems. He's out of breath now, and he has to come down. This is nothing but a swing pass. Should go for short yardage. An open field, though, he doesn't even get touched. And runs through 2 tackles. Now, that's impressive right there. I mean, you come to expect him to not be touched in open field, but to bang off big defenders is another thing.
49-yard pickup. And penalty markers flying. Demond Parker can make something happen. I mean, on all of his runs today, there's never been that. He's had to break 1, 2, 3 tackles.
Full snap. On the offense. 5-yard penalty.
One thing that Oklahoma has done successfully is get Demond in situations for him to have success. Much more today than the other 3 games combined. Colorado still has this one banked unless they give up a quick touchdown and an onside kick. But they should have had this one put away a long time ago.
Clock running, 1:12 left to go. Fletcher throwing it wide open in the end zone. The tight end, Jason Freeman. Oh, my goodness. '25-yard touchdown pass. Patrick Fletcher. Jason Freeman, who had only 1 reception coming into the game. And Matt Reeves will come on to attempt the point after with 1:05 left to go.
Oh, how important were those early extra point, and a point here or there,
and it's good.
Difference in a lot of ball games.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. 27, 25, 1:05 left to go.
Nice job of improvising by the quarterback, Fletcher. Tight end down the middle. There's a bust right there, wide open from the beginning, and Fletcher, scrambling for his life, spots him, gets the ball to him very nicely. But that's just a bust in the secondary for the Buffaloes.
Each team has missed an extra point today because of a celebration penalty after a touchdown.
Different circumstances, different eras, but Oklahoma recovered an onside kick down by 2 against Ohio State in 1977. One with a Uwe von Schamann field goal to win by 1 in similar circumstances.
Oklahoma's been involved in 2 one-point games this year. They scored 10 points in the last 2 minutes to beat TCU 10-9 and then lost to Cal 13-12 in a game. They missed an extra point and a field goal, a short field goal. They've missed a couple of field goals today, but they've been of the long variety. As Jeff Ferguson.
Oklahoma recovered an onside against TCU earlier. Josh Norman, 31, was the player to do it. Perfectly executed. You know, it takes luck on this, though. You execute it, and then you have to have luck if you're the team in red trying to recover.
Demond Parker. Onside kick attempt, 1:05 to go. Oklahoma with no timeouts remaining. Now
this is this is an adjusted onside. They have 2 onsides off of that formation.
Penalty marker goes down, and it's covered up nicely there. Chiaverini.
Well, they always talk about the best hands, folks. I think Colorado, of all the people that traveled on this roster today for Rick Neuheisel, that's the player that they would want receiving a kick like that, Raj.
Offside. Kicking team. Penalty refused. First down.
And another penalty against Oklahoma. It was refused, though. But penalties, another story for Oklahoma today. 9 in the first half on this Saturday here, homecoming Saturday. 12 penalties altogether. 89 yards, no timeouts left for Oklahoma. And the clock will run as we're less than a minute to go in Colorado 27, Oklahoma 25 here in Norman.
Well, it was an entertaining game. Colorado had this one, I thought, put away, and Oklahoma kept coming back.
Two of the top defensive teams in the country. Oklahoma ranked second defensively, Colorado fourth in the nation. And Machete, he's just fallen, and everybody's fallen on top of him now.
So Colorado says we haven't played as well as we can. We're in the top 15 and we're undefeated.
5-0. This team, which only won 5 games last year.
That's what he just said. 5-0.
He told us the other day, I don't care how it is or how we do it. If we're unbeaten, that's just fine with me. 27-25 the final, and the Chevrolet most valuable players of the game are Mike Machete for Colorado, threw 3 touchdown passes today, 13 of 25, 186 yards, and Kelly Gregg, who led an inspired Oklahoma defense. He had 8 tackles. A Chevrolet donation will be made to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need. It's been a Chevrolet tradition for more than a quarter of a century. And want to remind you, Monday night on ABC Sports at 8 Eastern, brand new time,